At this moment, at a magnificent mansion adorned with a fountain and a statue of an angel standing. In the center, as she saw the bespectacled man off to the main gate, the blonde-haired girl, Eva, suddenly bowed her head in sorrow and thought, I feel very sad, but I shouldn't cry now, because my father is about to do something important for the empire. If I cry, his steps will become heavier. He suddenly knelt down and gently comforted her, saying, Eva, I will definitely return successfully, so don't rub your eyes anymore, my child. With tears welling up, she asked, How long will I have to wait this time, father? A year like last time, or 2 years like the time before that? He looked away, slightly troubled, and replied, I can't promise anything, but... Then he suddenly remembered the words those treacherous ministers had spoken to the king. Your Majesty, we cannot invest any further. We cannot stand idly by and watch Count Massey waste the treasury any longer. Please accuse Count Massey for his failed expedition and break the agreement immediately. After recalling this, he suddenly fell silent and pondered for a moment. Then he spoke softly, I will do my best to return as soon as possible. I will definitely see you become the crown princess. So don't be lazy with your studies, and be careful with your actions and words, because you will be the most radiant woman in this empire. Father, I wish you the best of luck on your journey. As she watched the carriage gradually disappear from sight, Eva silently prayed, hoping that her father's journey would be filled with good fortune. Her nanny quickly offered words of encouragement. Don't worry, Mississippi. The Count is the greatest explorer in the empire. He'll be back safe and sound soon, with countless treasures aboard his ship. However, my father never returned. 3 years later, Bale Castle and the land were given to someone else, and the royal family announced the cancellation of my engagement to the prince. Eva said reluctantly, Nanny, I don't want to leave here. Then she thought sadly, do I really have to leave my beloved Bale Castle? Her nanny quickly turned to look at her and encouraged her. Say, miss, even if you're sad, you must endure it. Only then can the Count rest in peace in heaven. Eva replied softly, but then thought sadly, both my father and Nanny won't be with me. Her nanny came closer and gently stroked her hair, then softly encouraged her. Come now, miss, look at me. When difficult times pass, happy days will return. If you try a little, we can see each other again. You are a noble lady. Never forget that fact and act firmly. Do you understand? Eva quickly hugged her and replied with a slight choke in her voice. Yes, Nanny. Her nanny continued, be good and be proud. Don't forget that I will always pray for you. A few minutes later, at the gate of the mansion, a man suddenly became angry and scolded loudly. What are you doing? Do you think I have all the time in the world? The nanny frowned slightly and apologized. I'm sorry, Baron Zune. He suddenly sneered and said, I haven't received my wages for months, and yet I'm treated like this. My goodness, do you know how much it costs to feed and clothe someone? If you have a conscience. The butler suddenly interrupted. Enough, Baron Zune. Is this any of your business? Startled, the Baron exclaimed, Well, you have a point. He then bowed respectfully, my lady. She replied, Mr. Lauren. He smiled gently and offered a prayer. God bless you, Mississippi. We shall surely meet again someday. Eva quickly embraced him and whispered, Be careful, Lauren. You must visit me after your journey. He closed his eyes briefly and replied, Certainly, I will. She quickly moved to hug another person and softly bid farewell. Goodbye, Matthew. Thank you for decorating the moon garden. Father, she said, please pray for our safety. He replied, Of course, Eva. God will protect you and everyone here. Baron Zune bellowed impatiently. Hurry up, we've wasted enough time. Eva, hearing this, lowered her head and walked slowly towards the carriage. Just as she placed one foot on the step, she paused and looked back. She suddenly saw her beloved Nanny, her eyes brimming with tears, looking at her. Unable to bear the sight, she quickly turned and ran straight towards her. Then, embracing her tightly, she cried out, Nanny. Her nanny choked back a sob, miss. Tears welling in her eyes, Eva said, Nanny, I don't want to leave you. If I can stay with you and not go with the Baron, please take me with you. Her nanny looked at her silently, thinking emotionally, how can I let her go alone? Then, she suddenly looked directly at Baron Zune and called out, Baron Zune, please, let me go with her. I'll work as a maid without pay. That evening, at Baron Zune's mansion, Baron Zune's wife and son were standing at the door, waiting for their arrival. Seeing them, the nanny bowed respectfully. Greetings, Madame Zune. Just then, Baron Zune's daughter suddenly stepped out and cheerfully greeted Eva. Come in, Eva. It's an honor to have you at our house. I'm so glad, Eva. Eva replied in surprise. Pamela leaned close to her ear and sneered. Because your family is ruined, huh? I'm so glad you're not a count's daughter anymore. Upon hearing these words, Eva's face darkened with shock. 5 years later, Eva anxiously urged, Nanny, please eat something and drink some water. Stroking Eva's head, her nanny smiled and sighed. Thank you, my dear Mississippi. I'm sure I'll be much better tomorrow. Eva softly replied, Nanny. Suddenly, someone shouted, Eva, where are you, Eva? Then, the person entered the room and threw the dress in their hands onto the floor. Angrily, they demanded, You did this, didn't you? Eva quickly picked up the dress to examine it and replied, A hole in the dress? I didn't do it, madam. Madam Zun questioned loudly, Don't lie. Everyone said they saw you ironing them this morning. I gave you food and clothes for free, and now you dare lie to me. Eva quickly insisted, I'm not lying. Seeing Eva's defiance, Madam Zun flew into a rage and immediately slapped her. Just then, Pamela walked in and witnessed the scene. She immediately asked loudly, Mother, what are you doing? Madam Zun explained, Stay away from her, Pam. She burned your dress. Pamela protested, Even so, Mother, you shouldn't slap her like that. It's not right. Come with me. Eva, Pamela said, I don't know what my mother did wrong to you, but I sincerely apologize. Eva quietly replied, It's okay, Pam. Pamela suddenly placed her hand on Eva's shoulder and asked, By the way, Eva, do you see anything over there? The new owner of the castle has arrived. Count Massey's flag is still hanging. It's Count Holland. They come from a prestigious and wealthy family. Let's go take a look. A moment later, while two men were relaxing on the grass by the lake, Eva and Pamela stealthily hid behind a nearby bush, observing them. Pamela suddenly voiced her guess. Those two must be Count Holland and his friend. I heard they'll be staying at Bale Castle throughout the summer holidays. Once a day, they ride around the city and then rest there. They abandoned the castle for 5 years. Who knows what wine brought them back? The brown-haired one must be Count Holland. With the Count here, there might be a ball or a party. Eva suddenly stood up and suggested, Let's go back, Pam. I have a lot to do. Pamela quickly held her back and said, Wait, Eva, do you think I chased after the Count from so far away, just to leave like this? Eva asked, a little confused, What do you mean? Pamela clenched her fists and declared, I'm going to seduce Count Holland. Eva asked in astonishment, What? Pamela smiled and explained, I'll capture the Count's heart and marry him, then leave this boring crossfield and go to the capital. If I marry the Count and become the mistress of the castle, I'll definitely take you with me. The problem is how to attract their attention. How can I approach them naturally without arousing any suspicion? As soon as she finished speaking, there was a sudden splash as water from the lake sprayed upwards. Pamela's face suddenly flushed red. She quickly covered her mouth with her hand and exclaimed in embarrassment, Oh my goodness, look, Eva. It turned out she had seen the two handsome men jump into the lake for a swim. Suddenly, Eva noticed a scar flickering on one man's chest, visible through his thin, wet shirt. She thought in surprise, A scar? How could such a nobleman have a scar? Pamela suddenly suggested, Eva, you have to help me. Pretend to fall into the water to attract their attention. Eva asked, stunned, What? That's absurd. I can't even swim. Pamela quickly explained, Don't worry, Eva, they'll save you. Eva stammered, but you could fall in yourself. Why me? Before she could finish, Pamela pushed her straight into the lake, then said with a delighted laugh, Me? What? I'm all dressed up. If I fall in, my beautiful dress will be ruined. Eva flailed, crying out, Help me, Pamela. She immediately shouted after her, Help, someone, my friend fell into the water. Please help me. After calling for help for a while, Eva grew exhausted and slowly sank into the lake. She desperately thought, Save me. Then she unconsciously remembered Pamela's words. You think you're still the Count's daughter? You're so clueless about your place. If you have any conscience, start doing chores from now on. Pamela, did your mother hit you again? I'm sorry, Eva. I'll apologize on her behalf. It was you. To get a new dress, you purposely made a hole in your old one. It's fine, even if I die like this. I don't want to experience this humiliation and suffering anymore. Nanny, you sacrificed everything for me. My second mother, Cece. If I die, Nanny will... No, I can't die like this. I need to go back to Nanny. Save me. Someone, save me. Please. Just when Eva thought everything was over, a savior suddenly appeared. He quickly wrapped his arms around her and slowly swam upwards. He quickly reached the shore. Seeing her suddenly cough a few times, he hurriedly asked, Are you awake? Eva didn't answer, slowly opening her eyes. Seeing this, he asked again, Are you all right? She stared blankly at him for a moment, then blushed and replied, I'm fine. He didn't say anything, but suddenly bent down and stared at her for a moment. Then he abruptly sat up and quickly reached for his coat. He draped it over her and sighed. That was close. It almost turned into something serious. She lowered her head, blushing, and said, "Thank you." But before she could finish, Pamela suddenly ran over and anxiously asked, "Eva, are you okay?" Seeing him standing nearby, pulling down his sleeves, she quickly sat down and hugged Eva, pretending to blame herself. "You don't know how worried I was. I thought you were hurt. It's my fault, because I was joking you. I'm fine, so please stop crying, Pamela." "Thank you so much, sir. We were picking wild vegetables when Eva slipped and fell." He quickly interrupted. "Eva," she continued. "Ah, my friend's name is Eva, and I'm Pamela Biddy. My father is Baron Biddy." He smiled slightly and introduced himself. "It's a pleasure to meet you both." "I am." Just then, the young man who was with him approached and called out, "Hey, Root." Then he suddenly fell silent, staring at them both for a moment. Then he anxiously asked, "Are you all right, miss?" Eva, a little flustered, replied, "Yes, I'm fine." Hearing this, he continued, "That's good. Then allow me to introduce myself. I am Count Benjamin Holland, and this gentleman is .is Knight General Root." Pamela couldn't help but think in surprise. "This one is Count Holland. Root. So the one who saved me is named Root." Then she quickly said, "You made quite an impression on me, so I thought you weren't an ordinary person. As expected of a count, it's an honor to meet you." She shyly added, I'm Eva Bale, Turner Macy." Then she suddenly cried out, "Ugh." Root quickly knelt down and asked anxiously, "What's wrong? Did you hurt your leg? Try extending it this way." She shyly refused. "It's not necessary, sir. I'm all right. Please let go of my foot." He smiled slightly and offered, "If you don't like being touched like this, I'll remove my hand. But if you're just embarrassed, then leave it be, because leaving it like this could cause a bigger problem." Seeing her silent objection, he gently removed her sock. This made her extremely embarrassed, and she quickly covered her mouth with her hand. After a moment of examination, Root declared, "It's dislocated." She suddenly cried out, "Ugh," seemingly in considerable pain. Pamela and Benjamin, seeing this, remained silent. Then, just as Root gently placed Eva's foot back on the ground, she suddenly burst into tears, making him curiously ask, "Why are you crying?" She replied, "Because I'm embarrassed." He quickly asked, "Embarrassed about what?" Eva sobbed, "My foot, my foot." He smiled encouragingly and said, "It's because it hurts. Why are you embarrassed? Besides, your foot is so pretty, there's nothing to be ashamed of. No matter the reason, you haven't done anything wrong." Eva, hearing him say that, she unconsciously stopped crying and stared at him for a moment. The sun was about to reach its zenith, but the two remained silent, looking at each other for quite a while. Finally, Benjamin spoke up, "I think she's all right now. Can we go back?" Root didn't reply, but quickly turned his head to look back. Seeing this, Benjamin quickly looked up at the sky and casually said, "The weather is beautiful today." Pamela suddenly spoke up, "May I invite you both to dinner tonight? I know it's a bit sudden, but I want to thank you for saving my friend." Benjamin politely declined, "Thank you for the invitation," but before he could finish, Root interrupted, "All right, it would be rude to refuse a lady's invitation, wouldn't it, Count?" Benjamin forced a smile and added, "Indeed." He unexpectedly sat down and asked with concern, "Can you stand up? If not, I can help you." Eva shyly refused, "No, you don't have to do that." Pamela smiled and asked, "Is that all right? Our house is quite far, so it might be difficult to walk in this condition." Root suddenly grinned teasingly. "Well then, Count, perhaps you could escort Miss Pamela back." Benjamin shrugged helplessly, then sighed and replied, "Fine, do as you please." Pamela blushed and exclaimed, "It's an honor to be escorted by the Count himself. He's so kind." He sighed softly and added, "Ah, yes." She covered her mouth with her hand and giggled happily. Then she quickly mounted her horse, sitting with Benjamin, and waved goodbye triumphantly. "Eva, I'll go ahead. Wait here for a bit." Eva replied softly, okay." Then she fell silent, watching as the two figures gradually disappeared from sight. Root suddenly turned and asked, "Shall we go back together? Do you know how to ride a horse?" Eva replied, "A little." A moment later, after bringing the horse over, he quickly helped her mount, then softly encouraged her, "Just relax and sit comfortably. We won't go fast, but let me know if you're scared." Blushing, she suggested, "Could you please go faster?" Hearing this, he smiled and said, "All right." Then he quickly climbed onto the back of the horse and sat with her. Seeing this, she couldn't help but feel flustered, thinking to herself, "What should I do? He's so close." He softly reminded her, "Hold on tight," and immediately urged the horse forward. A moment later, as they were riding forward, perhaps because the horse's speed was too fast, Eva became a little frightened and leaned back. Seeing this, Root quickly pulled the reins to signal the horse to slow down. Then he softly reassured her, "It's all right." Hearing his words, she couldn't help but feel touched, thinking to herself, "It's all right. This is my chance to enjoy this moment and not worry about anything. So just chill while life still allows it." This is so refreshing. It feels like my suffocating chest has been loosened. I'm so happy, like I've returned to the past. I want to cry. Not long after, at Baron Run's mansion, she hurriedly thanked him, saying, "Sir Root, thank you so much today." He graciously replied, "It was a pleasure meeting you, Eva." She bowed her head slightly and softly suggested, "Let me return your coat." He didn't reply, but suddenly realized something was amiss. So he quickly pulled the coat back around her and gently suggested, "Keep it. Your clothes are still damp, so keep it for warmth." She shyly lowered her head and replied, "Then I'll wash it clean and return it to you later." He replied, "All right then." Then he quickly climbed onto the horse and bid her farewell, saying, "I'll see you this evening." Next, he pulled the reins, turning the horse around and riding away. She silently watched him go, then softly called out, "Sir Root." Then she quickly ran upstairs to her nanny's room and worriedly asked, "Nana? Nana, are you all right?" Her nanny quickly covered her mouth with a handkerchief, then coughed a few times and weakly reminded her, "I told you not to go too fast, Mississippi. Did you study hard while I was sick? Langston requires us to work hard and put in a lot of effort." Eva immediately reassured her, "Don't worry, Nana, but why did you wake up? Is your body all right?" She coughed a few more times before replying, "I woke up because I had to." "What did my young miss do? Did the Baron make you work all day?" She forced a small smile and replied, "I went out with Pamela today." Her nanny couldn't help but ask curiously, "Where was he?" Eva replied, "Today I happened to meet the new owner of Bale Castle. He's Count Holland, and he raised his family's flag." Nana's eyes widened in surprise. "Count Holland was there? What about the Massey family crest?" She smiled slightly and replied, "Yes, I met Count Holland and his friend. They helped me, and even asked me with concern, 'Are you all right?' His friend is a gentleman, and he looks very dashing too." Seeing Eva lost in thought about him and not saying anything more, her nanny quickly called out, "Miss?" She startled and turned to look at her nanny, then smiled shyly and continued, "Oh, later tonight, the two of them will be having dinner. Pamela invited them." Her nanny coughed a few times and asked curiously, "What's the gentleman's name?" She hesitated slightly, replying, "Roth. I don't know if that's a first or last name." Her nanny gasped, "What? What did you say?" Seeing her sudden interest in a man's name made Eva suspicious. She thought to herself, "Did I offend him by not getting his full name?" Then she answered, "Oh, I didn't catch his full name. I was distracted." Her nanny suddenly said sternly, "Mississippi." Eva replied, "Yes." Her nanny earnestly advised, "Don't resent the crown prince. The broken engagement had nothing to do with him, but you shouldn't get involved with him." Eva asked confused, "What? Why are you bringing that up so suddenly?" Her nanny continued gently, "After Count Massey's death, the emperor, who valued compromise, also declined. Then, the empress ascended the throne and broke off the engagement. She's not the crown prince's biological mother, so you shouldn't blame the crown prince, but don't get involved either. The imperial family is very unstable and dangerous right now." Eva quickly affirmed, "I have no reason to get involved with him." Her nanny continued, "Count Holland has ties to the late Empress Catherine. He's also the son of Countess Lotte, the Empress's sister. You said Count Holland's friend's name was Roth, correct? Roth means light. When the crown prince was young, Count Massey, his father, gave him that nickname." Eva quickly guessed, "Does that mean the man who brought me back was the crown prince, Nana?" Her nanny replied, "He may or may not be. But be careful, my lady. If it was the crown prince, don't abandon the connection. That is my request." That evening, at Baron Roth's mansion, Eva, now changed into different clothes, was diligently scrubbing the floor. She then quickly moved on to polishing glasses. Exhausted, she wiped the sweat from her brow and thought, "I need a moment." Then she slowly walked back to her room. As she walked, she pondered, "Asterisk, that can't be the crown prince. His Highness is at the border. If he returned, the whole empire would be in an uproar with a welcoming ceremony or something. Asterisk." Just as she reached this thought, she arrived at her door. She quickly opened it and stepped inside. Seeing her sudden entrance, Laura cried out in surprise, "Oh my, you startled me." Eva asked curiously, "Madam, what are you doing here?" Laura replied with a forced laugh, Doing what? Coming to find you, of course. I haven't seen you all day, so I had to come looking, didn't I?" Eva calmly stated, "I've been in the most prominent places in the house, madam." Laura blushed and said awkwardly, "Ahem. Anyway, what I wanted to say is you don't need to attend a dinner party. It's a family gathering, so don't wander around freely and draw attention to yourself. Just greet everyone and then excuse yourself, understand?" Eva replied placidly, "Yes, madam." Seeing her indifference, Laura snapped, "Can't you do something about that damned expression on your face? Do you think you're still above everyone? Who is it? If you understand, then go out and work." Having said that, she immediately stepped outside and slammed the door shut. Eva bowed her head and sighed dejectedly. Then she quickly went to the wardrobe to check her belongings. She thought with some suspicion, "I'm sure nothing's missing, right? Well, there's nothing valuable enough to steal." Eva just finished this thought when suddenly someone entered the room and came up behind her, then asked, "What are you doing, beautiful?" She startled, turned around, and asked, What is it? What happened to you, Todd?" He casually asked back, "What do you mean? What happened? I haven't been home in a while, and you're not happy to see me?" She fearfully suggested, "Go away, Todd." Hearing this, he laughed heartily and said, "Don't act so high and mighty, Eva. In your situation, someone like me is already a fantastic catch. Isn't that right?" She hurriedly backed away and shouted, "Stop talking nonsense and leave." He relentlessly approached and grabbed her hand tightly. Then he said with a wicked smile, "You know what? The more arrogant you act, the more attractive you look. Since you have nowhere to go anyway, you'll be mine." Eva's face paled, and she screamed in terror, "Let go. What are you doing? Let me go." He immediately barked, "Stay still." Just when Eva didn't know what to do, someone suddenly entered and asked loudly, not letting go, "What are you doing, Todd? I told you Count Holland is visiting today, so you should go out, didn't I? Get out. Don't you know how important this is?" He retorted angrily, "Even you look down on me? If I had a big room, I wouldn't even bother looking at a corner like this." Pamela snapped, "Shut up and get out. Don't you know our family will only survive if I become a countess?" He scoffed, "You a countess? Even a dog passing by would laugh. Eva, you try flirting with that so-called count or whatever. I'll tie you and Cecily up and drown you both." Pamela crossed her arms and said disapprovingly, "What is that lunatic saying?" Then she calmly requested, "Eva, come to my room and help me get dressed first. Hurry up." Eva didn't reply, but watched her go for a moment. Then she suddenly collapsed onto the bed and clenched her fists. She encouraged herself, "It's okay. Just endure a little longer and everything will be all right." A while later, in Pamela's room, while Eva was helping her with her dress, Pamela seemed a little dissatisfied with its fit and immediately requested, "More. Pull it tighter, Eva. Make my waist look slimmer." The Count is really charming. Actually, at first, his expression looked a bit stunned, so I was a little worried, but then he said he was looking forward to dinner tonight and even smiled. "Tonight will be very interesting, I'm sure." "Oh, right, how is that man?" Eva asked blankly. "Who?" Pamela replied, "General Roth. He's been treating you quite well. Have you talked to him? What do you think?" Blushing, she shyly replied, "Oh, he seems like a good person." Then, with excitement, she asked, "Right? He's so handsome, it's breathtaking." Eva softly answered, "Yes." Pamela suddenly sighed, then declared resolutely, "I absolutely can't give up. I have to have them both." Eva asked in shock, "Huh? What are you talking about?" Pamela calmly explained, "I'll seduce General Ruth too. After marrying the Count, I'll just keep him as a lover." Eva stared at her, stunned. After a moment of thought, Pamela quickly laid out her plan. "So, Eva, after dinner, when I'm with the Count, you keep General Ruth outside for a while. Then, when I give you the signal, bring him to my room." Eva clasped her hands and asked, "What are you planning to do?" Pamela replied casually, "What else?" "Seduce him, of course." Eva remained silent, lost in thought. A moment later, seeing Benjamin and Ruth enter, Baron Run immediately greeted them warmly. "Welcome, Count Holland and General Ruth. It's an honor to have you visit this humble abode." Benjamin politely returned the greeting. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Baron Run." Gesturing towards his wife and daughter, the Baron proudly introduced them. "This is my wife, Laura, and this, as you probably know, is my daughter, Pamela. My son, he's left home to pursue his own ventures." Laura beamed. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Count Holland." Benjamin reluctantly greeted them. "Hello, Baroness Run and Miss Biddy." Laura paled at his words. Although Eva was standing silently behind them with her head bowed, Ruth spotted her immediately. As if by chance, she looked up at that exact moment, their eyes meeting. Baron Run cheerfully suggested. Well then, shall we go inside? We haven't made any special arrangements, but we've prepared as best we could. After a long silence, Ruth suddenly interrupted. Wait a moment. It seems there's someone else who hasn't been introduced. The Baron asked, bewildered. Oh. Ruth walked towards Eva and calmly continued. There's a young lady here we haven't been introduced to. The Baron's family looked at each other in surprise. Eva, head bowed, wondered why is he doing this? The atmosphere grew tense after Ruth's question. Seeing Eva's continued silence, Baron Run reluctantly approached her and said, Ah, yes, greet these gentlemen, Eva. Eva quickly curtsied. Hello, Count Holland and General Ruth. My name is Eva Beltoner Massey. Ruth responded graciously. It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Massey. Are you by any chance related to the Massey family of Vel Castle? Eva confirmed proudly, yes, I'm the daughter of Count Massey. Ruth suddenly knelt on one knee, took her hand, and exclaimed, So you're the daughter of Count Massey, whom I greatly. My respects. It's an honor to meet you like this, Miss Massey. Pamela, seeing this, became incredibly jealous. While Eva was stunned, staring at Ruth for a moment, she noticed a wound on his wrist, looking rather fresh. This surprised him greatly. Noticing his gaze, she flinched, quickly withdrawing her hand. He quickly stood up and said sarcastically, It seems some kind of wild beast lives in this house. The atmosphere in the room once again fell silent after his remark. Baron Run, seeing this, spoke up again to break the silence. Well then, dinner is ready. Shall we talk while we eat? A few minutes later, in the dining room of the mansion, Baron Run hastily made a suggestion. What about restoring Vel Forest into a hunting ground? It would greatly benefit Crossfield's economy. Laura immediately offered her opinion, and if we could hold a ball, that would be wonderful. Since Vel Castle has become a ghost castle, the focal point of the aristocracy in the suburbs has disappeared. Pamela casually criticized. It seems the previous count didn't care about the changing world at all. He completely ignored the stance of the local nobility. Pamela chuckled and said, I was being thoughtless. From now on, I will try to make Vel Castle more lively. Eva couldn't help but resentfully think, why do I have to sit here and listen to this? It was all because of that man named Ruth. Baron Run asked, somewhat tentatively. As far as I know, the Count didn't just buy Vel Castle, but also quite a bit of land in the surrounding area recently. Benjamin calmly confirmed, that's right. He excitedly proposed, Count, what do you think about entrusting me with the management of the land in Vel Castle? Count Massey's lands are also managed by me. During that time, there haven't been any problems. Benjamin, sweating nervously, replied, about that, I'll consider it when I return. Baron Run, hearing this, couldn't help but brighten up, saying, Thank you, truly thank you, Count. Benjamin politely replied, No, it's nothing yet. Turning to look at Ruth, he thought with a hint of jealousy, he's awfully calm. Laura, smiling, ordered, Bring more wine here. Suddenly, Eva noticed a very familiar bracelet on Laura's wrist. This startled her, and she thought wide-eyed that. Then she quickly picked up her wine glass from the table. Seeing her strange behavior, Benjamin couldn't help but stare at her for a long moment, puzzled. Laura hastily thanked him. Thank you for escorting Pamela back this morning. I apologize for troubling you, Count. Benjamin politely replied, It was nothing. It was my honor to escort such a beautiful young lady. Laura laughed heartily and said, Oh my, you're so kind. Anyway, it seems the Count isn't married yet. I wonder if you have anyone you're engaged to. Benjamin honestly replied, Not yet. My mother is currently working hard to find someone. Laura quickly turned to look at Pamela and subtly revealed her intentions. Is that so? Although arranged marriages are quite common, no matter what anyone says, the foundation of a marriage is still love. To meet by chance and begin a relationship, how wonderful. Hearing this, he smiled and said, That's right. If I ever encounter such a fateful connection, I'll seize it. The woman and her daughter stiffened immediately upon hearing his words. Seeing that Benjamin wasn't an easy target, she immediately switched to another prospect. Isn't Sir Ruth married? Or perhaps you already have someone in your heart. He gently placed his knife and fork on the table and calmly replied, I don't. My engagement was broken off not long ago. Hearing this, she feigned regret, exclaiming, Oh dear, what a shame. While dabbing his mouth with a napkin, he explained it was a decision made by the adults in the family. She hastily offered consolation. Oh, but you mustn't resent the adults too much. They have their reasons for intervening. He hesitantly continued, reasons? I suppose there were. That's why I feel I've wronged the other party. Eva was momentarily stunned by Ruth's words. She quickly surmised, it seems you were very fond of that young lady. He gave a faint smile and continued, that's not it. I met her once when I was young, but haven't seen her since. Her face brightened at his words. Then you shouldn't dwell on it and try to find someone else. You seem to be quite popular. He slowly lifted his wine glass and firmly declared, I've never considered having another woman by my side. Intrigued, she asked, oh, why is that? He calmly explained, because it wouldn't be right to abandon someone I was supposed to marry and turn my affections elsewhere, even if I didn't love her, or even if we hadn't met since we were children. I can only think of the woman I was supposed to marry. A long while later, in Laura's room, Eva abruptly entered and coldly demanded, give me back the bracelet. Laura turned around and said, bracelet? Oh, this? I borrowed it for a little while. Eva angrily retorted, taking something without the owner's permission isn't borrowing, it's stealing. Laura nervously admonished, watch your tongue. Where did you learn such impudence? Ignoring her, Eva held out her hand and demanded loudly, return it to me this instant. Laura reluctantly apologized. I'm sorry, but I can't do that, Eva. Eva asked, stunned, what? Laura calmly explained her reasoning. Listen carefully, Eva. Because your family went bankrupt, we haven't received proper compensation. Despite that, we took you in out of the goodness of our hearts. Do you know how much it cost us to care for you and Cecil? This is payment for that price. Eva immediately warned, if that's what you want, I'll report you to the prosecutor's office. Laura responded indifferently, try it. If I say it was originally mine, who do you think they'll believe? Eva calmly offered a solution. Named gemstones have a history. Where they came from, who crafted them, and how they came into the possession of their owner. Laura asked in a panic, what? Eva calmly continued. An investigation will reveal that the bracelet belonged to my mother, which will prove that you stole it from me. Laura abruptly stood up and screamed furiously, are you insane? Seeing that she was about to raise her hand to slap her, Eva immediately grabbed it. Then, she asked in a loud voice, Madam, I'm taller and stronger than you now. Do you think someone like me wouldn't dare hit you back? The woman fearfully ordered, you, let go of my hand. Eva loudly reminded her. It seems you've forgotten, but I'm still Count Massey's daughter. You know the crime of insulting a noble, don't you? It's not just a commoner insulting a noble, but a lower-ranking noble humiliating a higher-ranking one. The woman asked in confusion, WH, where do you get the nerve? Before she could finish her sentence, Eva immediately flung the woman's hand away, causing her to stumble momentarily. Then, calmly, she warned, if you try to use force against me again, I won't let it go. Give me my bracelet now. The woman angrily removed the bracelet and yelled, take this cheap thing. She then threw the bracelet hard onto the floor. Seeing this, Eva quickly sat down, picked it up, and stood back up, staring at the woman for a moment. Then, she walked towards the door and went outside, slamming the door shut. She couldn't help but wonder to herself, what am I doing? No, you did well. Eva, if you don't want to suffer such grievances, you have to become stronger. A while later, in Nana's room, Eva anxiously inquired about her condition. Nana, are you all right? She replied, don't worry about me, Mississippi. I'm much better than yesterday. Those people, Count Holland and Ruth, have they left? Eva smiled reassuringly. They'll leave soon, so don't worry. Nana worriedly advised, you must be tired today, Mississippi. Please rest. Eva softly replied, yes, you don't need to worry about me. Please go to sleep. Having said that, Eva quickly blew out the candle. Then, she carried the tray of food outside. Just then, Pamela suddenly approached and asked curiously, Eva, where have you been? Eva coldly replied, I just want to check on Cece. Is something the matter? Pamela hurriedly informed her of the situation. Count Holland and Ruth are in the garden right now. I sent Rossi to scout, but there's no news yet. Go and take a look. Eva asked and surprised me. Pamela hurriedly reiterated the plan. Yes. Do you remember what I told you? Go there and tell Count Holland to come inside and keep Ruth there. Eva calmly walked past her and indifferently refused. I don't want to do that. Take care of your own affairs. Pamela asked in astonishment. You promised. Why are you acting like this now, Eva? Eva quickly affirmed, I never promised. You decided that yourself. She then resolved in her heart, I don't want to play the mother-daughter role anymore. Just then, Pamela suddenly assured her, I'll take Cece to the hospital. Tomorrow, I'll talk to my father. No matter what, I'll take Cece to a big hospital. Eva didn't say anything, but gulped and began to hesitate, considering whether or not to help her. A while later, in a forest not far from the mansion, That's enough. Benjamin spoke up seriously, advising, we should return now, Your Highness. Staying here any longer will be dangerous. The royal family has realized you've left the front lines. Ruth calmly crossed his arms and asserted, I haven't left the front lines. I'm simply using my legally entitled leave time as I see fit. He hastily asked, Your Highness, are you aware that something is quite strange right now? He couldn't help but wonder aloud, what do you mean? Benjamin immediately asked directly, why are you flying the Macy family flag? Don't you think it will attract everyone's attention? Ruth immediately apologized, my apologies. My hands have been stained with too much ink, so I tend to overlook such things. A few minutes later, seeing someone running hurriedly towards them, Eva quickly asked, Rossi, what's wrong? Rossi, she stammered, trembling, Miss Master Ruth. Oh dear, Master Ruth isn't a general. Eva asked, confused, what were you saying? Explain yourself clearly. Rossi suddenly cried out in alarm. Then quickly turned and left, saying, it's nothing, Mississippi. I'll go inside now. Seeing this, Eva called out, Rossi. Then, puzzled, she wondered aloud, what was that about? Benjamin anxiously advised, Your Highness, now is not the time to worry about other people. Even if it's tea time or whatever, we must return immediately. Suddenly, they heard a strange noise coming from the nearby bushes. Both of them immediately looked towards the sound. Benjamin quickly ran to investigate the situation. Unexpectedly, he startled Eva, who cried out, oh my. He surprised called out, Miss Eva. She replied softly, Count Holland. He frowned and asked sternly, how much did you overhear? Sweating, she asked in bewilderment, overhear? I was just. Ruth suddenly approached and called out, Mississippi. She quickly explained, I only came to inform you that the carriage is ready to take you both back. I saw a figure and came this way. I swear I wasn't eavesdropping. Ruth bowed his head apologetically and said, I see. Count Holland seems a bit sensitive. Doesn't he, Count? We were discussing a rather sensitive matter, so we were being overly cautious. I sincerely apologize. Eva added shyly, no, it's nothing. He smiled and suggested, shall we return to the mansion then? Not long after, at Baron Ruth's mansion, the three of them finally arrived. As they walked, Eva worried to herself, what should I do? How can I keep Master Ruth here? Just then, he suddenly called out, Miss Eva, startling her. She quickly replied, yes. He smiled gently and suggested, the night air is quite refreshing. Would you care to walk with me for a bit before returning? Benjamin, hearing this, exclaimed in alarm, Ruth. He suddenly requested, Count, please go inside first. When Benjamin heard Ruth say that, he stared at him in surprise for a moment. Ruth didn't say anything, but calmly smiled in response. Seeing this, Benjamin sighed helplessly and said, all right, have a good time, then come back. He then reluctantly walked towards the mansion. Ruth, seeing this, asked, shall we go? A moment later, Eva suddenly asked, may I ask a question? Ruth replied, yes, please. Hearing her say that, he immediately asked, why did you come to Baron Betty's house? She lowered her head and softly replied, well, it had to be this way. Hearing her say that, Ruth quickly offered, if you need my help, please let me know. She didn't reply, but silently looked at him. She thought to herself, he's realized my situation, but I don't want to receive pity from this man. She then quickly declined, thank you for the offer, but I'm fine. Seeing that she seemed unhappy with his abrupt offer, Ruth apologized. I'm sorry if I upset you. She softly continued, no, I know you're a good person. You said that because you were concerned for me. Ruth suddenly stopped walking. He then seriously said, I'm not as good as you think. I have a lot of suspicions, so I don't trust people easily, and I'm not the type to be nice to just anyone. I'm very cruel to those who touch my people or betray me. So I can't offer financial help, but I can help in other ways. Eva asked in surprise, other ways? Ruth replied, for example, if someone is being bullied, I can also take care of it. Eva was surprised upon hearing this. Take care of it how? She stared at Ruth for a moment. Then she quickly covered her injury with her hand and softly explained, no, please don't do that, Ruth. Todd's moods change frequently. That's why he's like that, but he's not a bad person. And I'll be independent soon, so I'll be fine. Hearing that, Ruth smiled faintly and said, I understand. Let's go, Miss Eva. Hearing him say that, Eva breathed a sigh of relief. She then quickly followed behind him and asked, may I ask something, Ruth? He replied, yes. She quickly asked, why do you want to help me? Ruth calmly answered, I don't know. Just consider it me sympathizing with you because we're in similar situations. "Have you ever returned to Velan Castle after leaving?" She softly replied, "I haven't." Ruth curiously asked, "Don't you miss that place?" Eva softly answered, "Sometimes I do. If you have time in the evening, try visiting the Moonlight Garden behind the castle." Ruth asked in surprise, "The Moonlight Garden?" She smiled brightly and explained, "It's a small garden with a fountain. It's beautiful during the day, but even more so at night under the moonlight." Ruth didn't say anything but silently looked at her for a moment. Then he suddenly suggested, "Could you wait for me here for a bit? Just a moment. I'll be right back." Hearing that, Eva couldn't help but wonder suspiciously, what's going on? Did I do something wrong? Am I supposed to go back alone like this? She was just thinking about this when suddenly, from the forest not far from where she was standing, Ruth unexpectedly rode up on a horse and stopped in front of her. He extended his hand and suggested, "Come on, let's go to Velan Castle. You said the moon is most beautiful at night." Hearing this, she gasped, letting out an ah, then thawed in disbelief. "I can go there. The place I've always longed for, but could never see. Even in my dreams, it seemed so far away. The place that makes my heart ache every time I wake up." He quickly turned his head and softly reminded her, "The wind is very cold, so hold on tight to my back." Then he quickly spurred his horse onward. A moment later, as he was riding forward, she suddenly pressed her face against his back and blushed unconsciously. Not long after, they finally reached the path leading directly to Velan Castle. At the same time, at Baron Run's mansion, Laura exclaimed happily, "Pamela." Pamela smugly affirmed, "Count Holland seems quite smitten with me. Isn't that only natural? But it's a bit." Laura anxiously asked, "A bit what?" Pamela quickly explained, "It's nothing, mother." Laura beamed and encouraged her, "You must do well, Pamela. The rise and fall of our family depends on you, understand?" Pamela shyly replied, "I know, so please keep it quiet from the other family members. I'm a little embarrassed." Laura then said, "Yes, all right, I understand. But, Pamela, why do you often let Eva stay with Ruth? They seem quite well suited, you know." Pamela immediately asserted, "That could never happen. He knows his own situation." Laura quickly reminded her, "You can never be too sure about people. To escape her circumstances, that girl might try to seduce him. What then? Besides, it seems Ruth is only interested in Eva." Pamela immediately voiced her thoughts. "It's just pity. The daughter of a noble family that went bankrupt now has to live in a corner with the servants. So he feels compassion for her." Then, biting her nails, she reassured herself, "Otherwise, there's no reason for him to ignore someone beautiful like me and care about someone ugly like that." Laura worriedly whispered, "In any case, don't trust Eva too much." Hearing this, Pamela snapped and yelled, "Stop talking and go away. I'll handle it myself." Then, clenching her fists, she thought resentfully, "As parents, you can't even do anything decent for me. So, what do you know? Making me call that girl miss." Curiously looking around, a young Pamela exclaimed, "Wow." Baron Run quickly reminded her, "This is Miss Eva's room. You must greet her politely so I can receive my noble title, understand?" She replied, "Yes, father." Saying that, she quickly stepped inside the room. Then, bowing respectfully, she said, "Hello, Miss Eva." Eva smiled gently and suggested, "You can just call me Eva, Pamela." She didn't say anything but lowered her head, jealously thinking, "He has to give the order for me to be considered friend. But clearly, I'm more beautiful. Yet just because she's called a noble, she receives more love. I'm so happy you're no longer the Count's daughter, Eva. Eva has been brought down, and I'm so happy. I don't have to be jealous of Eva anymore. It's so good. It's wonderful. So, I can't let Eva climb back up." Thinking this, Pamela lowered her head resolutely and said, "You're not allowed to be happier than me." At that moment, someone suddenly opened the door and entered, saying, Mississippi. "I have something to tell you, Miss Pamela." Curious, she asked, "What is it, Rossi?" Rossi stammered, "It's about Master Ruth." Pamela asked in surprise, "Master Ruth?" She quickly guessed, "He doesn't seem to be a knight, does he?" Hearing this, she couldn't help but be startled, thinking, "What?" Under the sparkling, starry sky, Eva happily looked up at the romantic scene, while Edward slowly followed her. Eva gently placed her hand on her chest and said, "It's still the same, exactly like before." Edward then asked, "Where is it, the place we're supposed to see?" Hearing this, Eva quickly turned and replied, "Oh, this way." A moment later, the two of them arrived in front of the main gate of a mansion. Eva couldn't restrain herself and quickly ran towards it. She looked excitedly at Edward and pointed inside here. Despite this, Edward maintained his cold demeanor and didn't reply. He silently followed Eva's back. Quickly, a large fountain appeared before their eyes. Above the fountain was a beautiful angel statue. Standing before its beauty, Eva couldn't help but praise. The moonlight flows over the angel's hands. At this moment, Edward also stepped forward to admire the statue and said, "It's white marble, symbolizing the bond of love." Eva, still immersed in the statue's beauty, said, "Yes, it's beautiful, isn't it? This type of stone emits light on its own, so it's also called fallen angel light or fairy lamp. There's a legend that if two people see each other under this light, they'll fall in love." Remembering this, Eva couldn't hide her happiness as she recounted, "This is the place my grandfather built for my grandmother. It's also where my parents first met." Eva began to open up to Edward. "I heard they fell in love at first sight, but I still don't quite understand. Every time I hear the story, I'm curious. What's it like to have eyes that only see one person in the world? And can it happen with someone you meet for the first time?" Then she pointed to a room. "The place with the balcony over there is my room. Father purposely changed it to that room for me because I really like this place." Edward, who had been watching every expression on Eva's face, replied in a low voice, "I see." Eva smiled brightly and continued, "I sit on the balcony and look down here every day. When my father and Nanny caught me, I would get scolded, but I never fell down." Eva was engrossed in telling her story, unaware that Edward's gaze toward her was now filled with love. How much? At this moment, Eva also felt his gaze. She instinctively turned to look at Edward. Meeting his burning eyes, Eva shyly turned away, trying to find a topic to hide her embarrassment. "The roses here are most beautiful when they bloom on a spring night." At this moment, Eva's heart seemed to be stirred. "What should I do? I'm so happy that I've been chattering on without even realizing it." Eva tried to stay calm and continued, "If there's a chance next time, when the roses bloom, please come back." But Edward pointed to a flower in the corner and asked, "Do you mean that one?" Seeing this, Eva was quite surprised and said, "Oh, why is the rose?" Both stood silently looking at the flower. Edward said in a low voice, "It seems that flower is lost." His words seemed to touch something deep within Eva's heart. She looked at the flower with an emotional gaze and said, "Perhaps so. What can be done about this?" Edward suddenly turned to look at Eva gently and asked, "What can be done?" Eva was completely taken aback by his sudden question and exclaimed, "Huh." Then Edward continued, "This flower, won't it die if left like this? If Miss wants, I will build a wall or put it inside so insects can't eat it, protect it from the rain and wind, and keep it from the cold air. Taking care of it will allow it to live." After hearing these words, Eva was intelligent enough to realize, this isn't about the flower, he's referring to me. Thinking of this, Eva's voice became a little subdued as she asked, "Is it necessary to be so concerned?" Seeing her pensive look, Edward finally decided to speak his mind. "I will leave early tomorrow morning. We probably won't have a chance to meet again after this, so you can think of this as repayment for past kindness." Eva was completely stunned by his words. She pursed her lips, silently deciding, "I have to confirm. Only then can I answer the question about the flower." Thinking this, she seriously asked, "Mr. Ruth, may I ask you something?" Edward naturally replied generously, "Go ahead." Eva immediately asked, "Who gave you the name Ruth?" Edward was a little startled by this blunt question. He stood in silence for a long time without answering. This silence made Eva extremely worried. Was that something I shouldn't have asked? Despite her anxiously waiting, Edward just lowered his head in thought without saying another word. But then he suddenly smiled comfortably and replied, "It was given to me by someone I respected greatly when I was young. The father of my fiancée. It means to become a brilliant light that illuminates the whole world." Hearing these words, Eva fell into thought. As expected, it was him. She recalled the words she had once heard. Ruth means light. It's the nickname that your father, Count Massey, gave to the crown prince when he was young. Thinking of this, Eva couldn't help but clench her hands in confusion, thinking to herself, Crown Prince Edward, my former fiancé. The atmosphere was strangely quiet, with only the rustling of the wind. After a long while, Eva finally spoke. "Ruth," Eva began, "I lost my former life, but it wasn't all suffering." She thought to herself, he'll understand what I mean. Meanwhile, Edward listened intently to every word. The value of time, the happiness found in small things, understanding others, and gratitude for life. I've felt them all. Eva firmly resolved, if I had only received care and lived in Veland Castle, I would never have known these different facets of life. Only by losing can we regain, she mused. Knowing this helps me understand that life isn't only filled with bad things. Finally, Eva answered Edward, so please just let the flowers stay here. Flowers that bloom in this season have their reasons. Let's wait and watch. It might find its own way. Its withering is also its fate. Looking at the delicate flower, Eva's resolve strengthened. Asterisk coming here in this season is the flower's destiny, and standing here is mine. If everything in this world has a reason, then neither the flower nor I will easily give up. Asterisk. Edward remained silent, watching her as she spoke. He understood her choice and smiled. All right. Seeing that Edward didn't object, Eva replied happily, and also, I hope you, Ruth, will also live a happy life. Her words touched Edward, leaving him momentarily speechless. Eva sincerely prayed for him. We haven't known each other long, but you seem like an upright and strong person. Wherever you are, whatever you do, may the gods bless you. Then, she suddenly exclaimed, oh, I also have to send my thanks to Count Holland. He took such good care of the castle, and he's a very dignified man. Having expressed her thoughts, Eva gazed comfortably at the sky. The moon is so beautiful. Edward continued to watch her. Eva walked slowly. Behind her was the familiar figure of Edward, following her steps. Eva focused on the familiar sensations, the sound of flowing water, the scent of grass, the fragrance of autumn flowers. They all lifted her spirits. Suddenly, she stopped. Oh, she gasped, turning to look behind her. Edward stood still, no longer following her. He remained there, pensive and melancholic. Seeing his expression, Eva quickly turned away, an inexplicable feeling rising within her. She quickened her pace. Edward began to follow, matching her steps. He couldn't take his eyes off her. Eva quickly suppressed the feeling that had just surfaced. He's like a passing breeze, she reminded herself. A breeze that will disappear when it leaves. Edward gradually caught up. In a moment, they were face to face. Looking up, Eva was startled to find Edward's face close to hers. Oh, she cried out in surprise. Without a word, Edward embraced her tightly. Eva was enveloped in his arms. Their eyes met. Ruth, she stammered. Edward cut her off. Somehow, it seems I understand now. The words falling in love suddenly came to mind. The space suddenly became quiet. Eva stood within Edward's embrace, looking at him with indescribable surprise. Edward drew his face closer to hers, murmuring, am I intoxicated by the night, or am I hypnotized by the light of an angel? Every word that escaped Edward's lips seemed to hypnotize Eva, making it impossible for her to tear her eyes away from him. Edward gently touched Eva's warm lips and continued, if that isn't the reason, then perhaps it can be seen as an opportunity created by this coincidental incident. He gently lifted Eva's chin. At this moment, Eva quickly closed her eyes, waiting for a kiss from Edward. Edward leaned in even closer. Their lips were about to touch. But suddenly, Edward opened his eyes, gazing at Eva thoughtfully. Meanwhile, little Eva still had her eyes tightly shut, waiting for something from Edward. For some reason, the arm that was embracing Eva's waist unconsciously fell away. He quickly turned his face away, saying, I've been rude. I apologize, Mississippi. Seeing Edward like this, Eva asked in bewilderment why. Edward still didn't dare look directly into her eyes and replied, to me, a kiss is a vow, but I'm not confident enough to keep that vow, so it would become a deception. I don't want to make a false promise to you. Hearing these words, Eva was stunned, thinking, a false promise? Edward still appeared very reluctant, saying, I apologize. His eyes still didn't dare meet Eva's directly. Eva simply replied coldly, no. Then she sank back into her thoughts. On the contrary, it's a good thing. If he and I kissed, things would become complicated in many ways. I also wouldn't be able to keep my promise to Cece. So it's good that nothing happened. A moment later, they were both standing before the door of the mansion. Edward said hesitantly, I don't know if it's too late. But Eva quickly spoke up, it's all right. Don't worry about it. Touching the door, Eva silently made a decision. Once I step through this door, it will be the end of my story with him. As the door opened, Eva saw familiar figures waiting inside. Benjamin, Baron Zune, and Mrs. Laura all looked expectantly at her. After clearly seeing the person accompanying Eva, they all stood up in surprise. The four of them hurriedly bowed to Edward. Seeing them like this for the first time surprised Eva greatly, while Edward remained extremely cold and expressionless. Benjamin was the one who broke the tense atmosphere. You're back, Your Highness. Benjamin stepped forward. There's no need to hide it anymore, Your Highness. Miss Pamela has confessed everything to me. Hearing this, Edward was a little stunned, asking what. But Benjamin didn't directly answer his question, instead turning to Eva. I have something to ask you, Miss Macy. Faced with this unexpected situation, Eva clasped her hands nervously and replied, please, go ahead. Benjamin bluntly stated, did you go to the riverbank to seduce me? Hearing this, Eva froze, speechless. She widened her eyes in astonishment, as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. At this moment, Mrs. Laura angrily shouted, I can't stand this constant forbearance any longer. Seeing this, Baron Zune quickly held her back. Hey, don't stand up, stay seated. But Mrs. Laura angrily snapped at Baron Zune. Let go. Honestly. Then Mrs. Laura pointed directly at Eva and accused her. You instigated our innocent Pamela, and then you tried to seduce Count Holland? Furthermore, you knew he was the crown prince, so you changed your target, didn't you? Eva was so bewildered by the scolding that she didn't understand anything. Her face darkened as she asked, what are you talking about? Then she looked towards Pamela and called out in despair, Pamela! Despite this, Pamela just stood silently without any explanation. Eva felt like she was falling apart. Why? Why is this happening? After a long moment, Pamela looked up at Eva with a wronged expression that, I'm sorry, Eva, I intended to keep it a secret until the end, but I can't hide this guilt any longer. Then she started sobbing, appearing incredibly pitiful. Poor Eva was still bewildered, unable to believe the deceitful person in front of her. Then suddenly, Pamela unexpectedly stepped forward and called out, Eva! She hugged Eva tightly and sobbed. Let's tell the whole truth and ask for forgiveness. Cunningly, she took advantage of the moment when no one was paying attention to threaten Eva. It seems Cece has a very high fever. You should think carefully about how you answer. This time, Eva was truly frightened, the panic clearly visible on her face. Having said what she needed to say, Pamela immediately let go of Eva. Before turning away, she gave her a warning glance. Pamela pretended to be pitiful as she stepped forward to apologize to Edward. Your Highness, I apologize for letting you see this shameful display. Please don't blame Eva too much. She's not a bad person. Faced with these baseless accusations, Eva trembled with fear. She stood motionless, staring at Edward, her body continuously shaking. At this moment, Benjamin spoke up. Miss Macy, you knew that Ruth was the crown prince, didn't you? If you don't speak, there's no other way. Come here quickly, Rosie. Upon hearing this name, Eva suddenly came to her senses. Rosie? Benjamin began to question Rosie. You were the one who called us in during our break earlier this evening, weren't you? Rosie obediently replied, yes, that's right. Benjamin continued to question her. What did you hear? Rosie fearfully recounted, well, Count Holland called, I heard him called Your Highness. Seeing this, Benjamin continued his interrogation. So, Miss, you also overheard our conversation, and you knew the crown prince's identity? Rosie lowered her head and trembled as she replied, It seems so. Then she knelt down and pleaded, Miss Eva, I'm sorry. It's just that when I learned that Ruth was the crown prince, I was so surprised that I blurted it out. I swear I didn't know it would put you in such a difficult situation. At this point, Eva was like a lost soul, standing motionless, staring at the ceiling. Even though Rosie clung to her skirt and cried, she showed no reaction. Benjamin spoke up once more. Earlier, when we met, you said you didn't hear anything, Miss Macy. If Miss Pamela hadn't confessed, I would have almost been fooled. It was only then that Eva painfully realized, Pamela, so this is what you wanted. To make me look like a scheming woman, so I couldn't be around Ruth anymore. What should I do now? Do I have to be blamed for everything? Thinking of Cece, who was sick and forced to obey Pamela, she thought, but I don't want this. I just want Ruth to know my integrity. She looked at Edward, who was still waiting for her, and thought to herself, what should I do? Benjamin urgently called out to her. Miss Macy. Edward finally spoke enough. He said to Eva with utter certainty, you don't have to answer, Eva, because I'm not questioning it. Seeing this, Eva looked at him even more resolutely and said, no, Your Highness. I will confess everything. Eva, who had been shouldering this undeserved blame, firmly told Edward, during my time living here, I hated my lowly status and this boring countryside life. Then, I heard that Count Holland and a friend would be visiting Bale Castle, so I decided to seduce the Count. If I succeeded, I could go to the capital and live a luxurious life. Therefore, when I learned of the Count's whereabouts, I waited for the two of you by the river. She suddenly turned her head and asked Pamela, Isn't that right, Pamela? Pamela was caught off guard and stammered, yes, that's right, Eva. Eva saw the smug look on Pamela's haughty face and thought, listen, Pamela, this is the whole story you made up. Eva continued to Edward, to attract your attention, I deliberately fell into the water, and the Count's friend saved me, just as planned. Throughout her confession, she never once looked up. Then, everything happened, as you already know. Edward furrowed his brows in displeasure. Perhaps he couldn't believe she would do such a thing just for a better life. Everything she just said was true. Eva replied, yes, Your Highness, everything I said is true. Until the moment Your Highness and I shared that kiss and made a promise. Only then did Eva raise her head and look directly into Edward's pained eyes. She thought, Ruth, I just want you, Crown Prince Edward, to know the truth. All of June's family members were stunned by her words. Laura gasped, how could you? Pamela was obviously furious, her whole body trembling with rage. Only Eva knew she had won. She hadn't let herself be wronged in the slightest, even though she had taken the blame for something she hadn't done. Eva turned to June's family and said, please don't misunderstand me. It doesn't mean that His Highness and I actually kissed. It's just referring to something else that happened afterward. She bowed her head sincerely. I apologize, Your Highness. Edward remained silent, seemingly lost in thought. Eva, I'll ask you one last time. Wouldn't it be better to just admire the flower from afar? Edward suddenly asked a strange question. No one present, except Eva, understood his feelings at that moment. Yes, I hope you will, Eva thought. I realize that's enough. Yes, I hope you will. After Eva's sincere reply, Edward's gaze towards her became even more pained, Baron Biddy. June, suddenly addressed, was startled, and his voice trembled. Why, yes, Your Highness. Edward said, I will consider this matter closed. Do not mention it again. June bowed his head respectfully. Yes, Your Highness. He turned back to Eva. Take care, Eva. She bowed in return. It was an honor to meet you, Your Highness. After all that, Eva returned to her small room with Nana. She was crying, her sobs broken and ragged. Nana, Eva's nanny, seemed still very tired. She sat up and gently asked Eva, why is our young miss crying like this? Eva looked at her. Nanny, His Highness the Crown Prince has left. I'm sorry, Nana. I tried to stop them from making up stories to harm me, but I couldn't. She recalled her happiest moments with Edward, riding horses, admiring the flowers in the garden. Nana softly said, You're very tired, aren't you, miss? This is what it feels like to like someone. Perhaps this is your first love. Eva looked up at Nana in surprise. First love? Nana comforted her. It's all right. Mississippi feelings are like a thin mist. They will eventually dissipate. At the castle that was once Eva's home, Edward stared out at the garden from the window, lost in thought. He, too, was remembering the beautiful memories of yesterday with her while admiring the flowers. There must be a reason for flowers to bloom in this season. Please watch over it so it can find its own way. Edward snapped out of his reverie. He seemed to remember the good times in his past, 15 years ago. From Earl's mansion, a childish voice rang out. Hello, Your Highness the Crown Prince. I am your fiancé. They said we'll get married and become husband and wife. Do you know what that means, Your Highness? Edward patiently engaged with young Eva. What is it? Eva beamed. It means you will become the closest person to me during this time. And no matter what happens, you will be on my side. That's called marriage. However, Edward bluntly interrupted Eva's joy wrong. Marriage is a transaction between families of equal standing. He lowered his eyes, a hint of pain in his voice. Husband and wife is a relationship of conflict, suspicion, and utmost vigilance. He suddenly stormed off like a fool. The next day, just as Edward was about to take a sip of tea, something whizzed past, shattering the cup. Along with it came Eva's panicked cry, Don't drink, Your Highness. The prince spat in it. Indeed, James had done it. He ran over and scolded Eva. You little thing, how dare you? Do you want to be scolded? But Eva, unafraid, retorted, the one who did something bad should be scolded. I will protect His Highness. Eva's words warmed Edward's cold heart. He seemed touched by the sincerity of this adorable little girl for the first time. Someone got angry for me and unconditionally sided with me. The little girl from Bale Castle, to protect me wholeheartedly, in her own way, fulfilled the responsibility of a marriage contract. The closest person during this time, always on my side. Back in the present, Edward still longed for Eva. Just then, Benjamin appeared behind him and said, It's time to go, Your Highness. Edward stood motionless, making no move to speak. Benjamin continued, Now, please forget Miss Massady, Your Highness. She will know how to live well on her own. This time, Edward really turned around, a hint of anger in his voice. "How can you say that? Looking at her like that," Benjamin retorted sharply. "If what your highness says is true, then she's not an ordinary person. She managed to both cooperate in a play with Baron Run's family and let us know that the lie wasn't real. It's not easy to think like that in such a short time. You're infatuated with that girl, your highness. This isn't like you." Edward assured him firmly. "Don't worry, Holland. I have no intention of dragging her into my life." Benjamin replied, "That's a wise decision, your highness." "Your highness, it's time to depart." A servant brought Edward his personal armor. Edward sighed wearily. "Ugh, I don't know if I came here to rest or to make a spectacle of myself." Benjamin didn't hesitate to expose him. "You wear even heavier armor when jousting, so what's with the pretense? News of your highness's vacation has spread, so crowds will gather wherever you go. The people enjoy seeing you in your armor, so please bear with the slight inconvenience." Although reluctant, Edward undressed and put on the armor, a voluntary act under compulsion. His physique was impressive, and a few scars made him even more captivating. Edward changed into a fresh shirt and buttoned it meticulously. A servant helped him into his iron boots and fastened his surcoat. He looked absolutely dashing, his handsomeness undeniable. Benjamin respectfully presented him with his helmet. Edward quickly took it, then suddenly called out, "Benjamin." The addressed man immediately responded, "Yes, your highness." Edward told him, "Send someone to check on her from time to time." The bright smile on Benjamin's lips faded after Edward's instruction. His expression made the crown prince laugh. "No need to make that face. It's just showing respect for my former fiancée. Just make sure she's doing all right. She said she'd be independent soon, so don't let those people from Baron Run's household linger around. If they bully Eva," Benjamin finished his sentence, "I'll warn you, your highness." However, Edward's gaze hardened. The wound on Eva's hand flashed in his mind again. Edward firmly told Benjamin, "Kill them, as promised. I won't interfere in her life. If she doesn't want it, I won't force my help on her. But dealing with a few pests shouldn't be a problem." Because she was so tired, Eva was still resting in her room, even though it was daytime. She was alone in the large bed. Eva slept soundly, showing no signs of waking. Suddenly, her bedroom door was pushed open, and a stranger appeared. He walked very softly, as if afraid of making any noise that might wake Eva. He quickly grabbed a pillow and covered Eva's face. The man was none other than Jim, who held a grudge against her for reporting him to Edward earlier. "You stupid girl, how dare you humiliate me? Just because you were engaged to Edward. Who do you think you are? Don't be ridiculous. You'll never be empress." Eva weakly resisted in vain. "Ugh." Jim sneered at Eva, "Because I'll be emperor." Suddenly, Eva reached out while Jim was distracted and scratched his face. Jim cried out in pain, clutching his face. "Ah!" Eva was nearly suffocating. She thought to herself, no. Just then, a shout rang out, "What are you doing?" Jim was startled. He was picked up as easily as a small animal and thrown out. He ran away. Eva trembled uncontrollably under the large blanket, terrified. Her rescuer was Edward. He gently pulled back the blanket covering her head. "Are you all right?" Eva, still panicked from the ordeal, was revealed beneath the blanket. Tears blurred her vision. She whispered, "Who?" Her rescuer remained silent, and Eva never got a clear look at his face. She woke with a start, gasping for air and sitting upright. Even though it was just a recurring dream, Eva was still afraid, her body trembling. She frowned. That dream again. Whenever she was sick or feeling uneasy, this distressing nightmare would replay itself. Eva left her room to compose herself. She overheard the maids talking. "The knights in silver armor, riding on horseback, are so cool." Eva muttered to herself, "Nothing's changed. He's gone, and I'm still in this small, dark room. He's at the Montana Palace in the capital, and I'm here in Crossfield. We'll each live our own lives. My integrity has been cleared. That's enough. But why does my heart ache so much?" Suddenly, the sound of shoes against the floor outside startled her. Eva instinctively looked up. From the shadows, she saw the figure of a stout man. Her fear intensified when she realized it was the person she hated most, Todd. Eva panicked and tried to get off the bed. However, her hand was grabbed tightly. Eva was shoved back onto the bed with considerable force. Todd pinned her down, then sneered, "I heard what those maids are gossiping about. It was just you and that crown prince alone. What did you two do?" Eva cried out in fear. Ugh. Todd gritted his teeth and hissed, "You look at me like I'm some kind of insect, but you were giggling and hugging that bastard. I told you I wouldn't let you get away with flirting with other men, didn't I? You're mine." Todd tightened his grip on Eva's throat, making it hard for her to breathe. He continued, "I'll show you exactly what that means." Eva could only scream in her mind, "Help me. Someone please." Just then, someone hit Todd over the head with a large book. It was Nana, her nanny. She waved to Eva, "Come quickly, miss. You despicable wretch. How dare you?" Todd was furious. He yelled, "What? Damn it." He reached out towards Nana. Todd violently yanked Nana's hair. She cried out in pain. "Ah." He shoved her, and her back hit the nightstand. Todd sneered, "You scared now, old woman?" He lunged forward to slap Nana. However, right after that, Todd collapsed from Eva's blow to the head. He fell into a pool of his own blood. Eva clutched the candlestick, the murder weapon, afraid that Todd might wake up again. She trembled as she asked her nanny, "What should I do, Nana? I'll go call someone." However, Nana stopped her. "Stay put, Mississippi." She went over to Todd. Nana reached out to check if he was still breathing and finally concluded he's dead. Her words were like a thunderclap, causing Eva to panic even more. "Dead. I killed Todd." Nana called to Eva, "Miss, please calm down. I did it." She snatched the murder weapon from Eva's hand. "I did it, you understand?" Eva asked in surprise, "What?" Nana told Eva, "The Baron and his wife will never let this go. Miss, you'll be arrested for murder." Eva said, "But Todd started it." Nana interrupted her. "How can you prove that? You'll surely be blamed for seducing him. 1,000 years from now, who knows what it'll be like? But right now, you know this country's laws mostly revolve around nobles and men. Even if your stance is accepted, you'll be branded a murderer and spend your life in prison. It can't be like this. I can't just stand by and watch that happen." Eva objected to Nana's idea. "No, Nana. Even so, I can't blame you for what I did." Nana frowned and yelled at her, "If you keep being stubborn, I'll bite my tongue and die right here, so you better know that." Eva looked at her nanny in anguish. "Nana, let's run away together. Let's confess that I killed him or run away together. Even if I die, I won't blame you." Nana didn't expect Eva to be so stubborn, miss. Eva held out her hand. "Come on, Nana, let's leave this hellhole." Nana threw the weapon to the ground. She placed her hand on Eva's. "Yes, Mississippi. Whether we die here or get caught while running away, it's all the same. Let's run away." In the silent night, someone's voice rang out in astonishment. "What did you just say, Eva?" "I killed Todd." Nana anxiously said to Julian, "Father, please help us. Help us escape from here." However, John refused Nana's request. "It can't be done, Sesson. I'm a priest who serves God. I can't help a murderer escape. We must go to the authorities. I'll do my best to plead your case." Nana became furious. "I'd rather you kill me. If we go to the authorities, you know what will happen, Father. I'd rather take Miss and jump into the ballot river than see that happen." John softly scolded Nana. "Sesson." However, Nana persisted. "If Todd hadn't died, I would have, and Miss would have been raped. Isn't that right?" John couldn't find a suitable answer to her question. He was struggling with himself. "Do not lie. Do not kill. If you sin, repent. As a priest, I must obey the law. But is this right? Aren't we siding with the dead and pushing the living into misery?" Eva knew that Nana's request had put John in a difficult position. "I apologize, Father, for my thoughtlessness in making you feel troubled." John suddenly said to her, "Eva, the head of the Galahad family, is currently in Ingragon. He will leave soon at dawn, so you two should get in that carriage and secretly leave this place. If you go to Montana, there will be someone I know." Eva was startled when she heard the name of the place John told her. "Montana?" John repeated once more, "Eva, Montana. Go to the capital." Even Nana was surprised. To the capital? 15 years ago, at the Earl's mansion, a child's clear voice often rang out, "Your Highness." It was Eva, the Eva of the past, who considered following Edward her daily mission. "Your Highness, Your Highness." Thanks to her persistence, the iceberg that was Edward finally stopped, turning around in bewilderment to ask, "Why do you keep following me? It's annoying." Eva persistently chased after him. "I like Your Highness." Eva gave a bright smile. "Because you are very beautiful, especially your eyes." Edward turned completely around, face to face with Eva. He looked at her with an incredulous expression. "Beautiful? You mean handsome?" He ignored Eva and turned to leave, somewhat narcissistic. "Well, it's true." Little Eva continued her pursuit of her fiancé. "Your Highness." Edward returned to his room. A guard reported the situation to him. "Your Highness, tomorrow we will return to the royal palace. So today you should—" His words were cut short by Edward. "Why haven't I seen Eva?" The guard replied, I heard that the young lady has a fever and is asleep. She must be tired from running around too much. Hearing this, Edward frowned with worry. He quickly stood up and walked outside. He headed towards Eva's room, but just as he reached the door, he heard strange noises. Edward burst through the door in a panic. He immediately saw James pressing a pillow down on Eva's throat, trying to kill her, while she could only weakly struggle. Edward yelled, What are you doing? Edward didn't hesitate to grab James by the collar and violently drag him out. James was unaware of Edward's presence, so he was quickly thrown down, landing painfully on his backside. James cursed, Damn it. He jumped up, wanting to retaliate against Edward. Get lost. However, Edward quickly dodged the blow and gave him a punch to the stomach like a bolt of lightning. As if influenced by something, Edward was incredibly furious, to the point that a tall, thin boy like him could pin the large James to the ground. He showed no mercy, each punch landing on James's bulky body. Eva lay on the bed, trembling in fear and hiding under the covers. Edward quickly went to check on Eva. He gently asked, Are you all right? When the blanket was lifted, Eva opened her eyes from within and looked at Edward. She cried out in fear, her tears flowing freely. Eva rushed to hug Edward tightly. Her actions startled him, leaving him unable to react. Edward tried to reassure her. Eva, it's okay now. Everything's all right. Don't worry. No one can hurt you anymore. At this point, his eyes darkened slightly. Edward returned to his room. He spoke sternly to the guard. Tell James to keep his mouth shut. Let him know that if he pulls something like today again, I won't let it slide. If what James did to my fiancée gets out, won't the Empress be in trouble too? So, make sure you persuade him carefully. The guard clearly hadn't expected Edward to entrust him with this task. Your Highness. Edward looked back at him, his eyes filled with barely contained anger. What, you think I don't know you're on the Empress's side? Hearing this, the guard waved his hands repeatedly. Your Highness, I think there's been a misunderstanding. Edward didn't have the patience to listen to him explain himself. He coldly ordered, Get out. The guard was a shrewd man. He knew that if he didn't leave now, he might not be alive tomorrow. So he quickly replied, Yes, Your Highness. Edward clenched his fists. He muttered to himself, even while the Emperor is enduring, things like this still happen. If something were to happen to the Emperor, they'll reveal their true colors and tear me apart. After everything was settled, Edward returned to his room. He was changing his clothes to prepare for bed when a knock at the door caught his attention. What is it? A soldier quickly opened the door, looking slightly troubled. Your Highness, there's someone outside. Before he could finish his report, a small child poked her head in. It was Eva. She ran into Edward's room faster than a rocket. Your Highness. Eva rushed to hug Edward tightly. Her sudden appearance surprised him. Eva, the guard reported, she came here alone, crying, and said she wanted to sleep with Your Highness. His report startled Edward. He turned back to the guard to confirm. Huh? What? Eva smiled brightly and told him, I snuck out past Nana to come sleep with you, Your Highness. Edward thought in astonishment. Asterisk snuck past Nana? Everyone must be in a panic. Asterisk. Eva's smile faded. She asked Edward sadly, Are you really leaving tomorrow? Your Highness, please don't go. Stay in the castle with me. Edward had no choice but to temporarily agree to Eva's request. He sighed, All right. First, let's get you back to your room. Eva obediently let Edward lead her back. As soon as Nana saw her, she cried out, Goodness me, Miss Eva. Edward honestly explained to Nana, Eva came to my room and said she wanted to sleep with me. That simple statement, uttered by both Eva and Edward, caused Nana and the maid present to pale. That I apologize, Your Highness. This was my negligence. The maid covered her mouth in shock. Oh my. Nana tried to coax Eva. Miss Eva, come here now. You mustn't bother His Highness. However, for some reason, Eva was even more stubborn than usual today. She turned and hugged Edward's leg tightly. I don't want to. Nana cried out in alarm. Miss Eva. Edward could only tell Nana, It's all right. I'll handle this. So please leave us. Eva quickly pulled Edward's hand toward the balcony outside the window. Your Highness, let's go to the balcony. I'll show you something beautiful. Outside the balcony was a large flower garden with a statue of the goddess of love standing on a fountain. Eva asked Edward, Beautiful, isn't it? You don't seem very interested in it. He replied perfunctorily, Yes, it's beautiful. Eva suddenly turned serious. She told him, It's the moon at night that's the most beautiful here, but we can't go there at night. Edward chuckled. He wanted to tease Eva a little. Why? Are there ghosts or something? Eva wasn't angry. She replied, No, angels will appear carrying lanterns, and they'll make everyone fall in love. Your Highness, let's go there together sometime. Edward unexpectedly agreed to Eva's suggestion quite seriously, yes. He led Eva back to her room and watched over her as she slept. Eva whispered to him before drifting off, "Stay here with me. Please don't go, Your Highness." The image of Eva crying alone kept flashing through Edward's mind. He anxiously called her name, Eva. In his subconscious, he heard Eva's voice again. "Don't go, Your Highness, don't go." Edward woke up with a start. He sat bolt upright, sweat dripping down his face. "Eva," Edward whispered to himself. "What is going on?" In an old forest, a group of people were preparing their luggage to leave the city for Montana. The priest sent Nana, the nanny, and Eva here with Jack. He would take them to Montana. Jack spoke with concern. "I'm helping out of gratitude to the priest, but this will be a very dangerous and difficult journey. Will you two be all right?" Eva looked at him with unwavering determination. Of course. "I'm completely resolved, because now I have to leave my old self behind and start a new life." Just as dawn broke, the carriages were about to depart. Jack led Nana and Eva to a covered wagon. Since their whereabouts couldn't be revealed, he had to look around carefully before daring to bring them there. He lifted the curtain at the back. Eva quickly climbed in first and then helped Nana up after her. Jack was the last to step inside. He whispered instructions to them. "Listen carefully. There are a total of 40 wagons. Each wagon is numbered. Mine is number 40, and the number is written on the wheel, so you can confirm it. Fortunately, we're at the back of the line, so we'll attract less attention than the others. We'll have breakfast and then start moving. We'll stop every 2 hours because the horses need to rest. Lunchtime is about an hour, and I'll try to find some food, but I can't make any promises." Eva replied, "Yes." Jack continued, "Every time we rest, I'll try to lower the wagon as much as possible. But unless it's absolutely unavoidable, you mustn't get out of the wagon. And while it's moving, absolutely do not lift the canvas at the entrance. The guards are following behind, and you'll be spotted immediately." Eva replied, "We'll keep that in mind. How long will it take to get to Montana?" Jack answered her, "About a week. If there are any stops along the way, it might take longer." He lifted the curtain and reminded them, "Good luck." The curtain was pulled down again, concealing the crates. Inside, Eva and Nana sat still, not daring to move. After a while, Eva spoke, "Yes, we must hide our identities. I can't use my real name while we're being pursued. From now on, we'll be mother and daughter. Call me Lily." Nana, her nanny, cried out in alarm. "Miss," Eva cut her off, "call me Lily. Mother." Nana's eyes filled with tears. "Yes, Lily. Lily, lean on me and get some sleep." Eva told her, "No, mother, you lean on me." Night fell once more. Eva was the first to wake with a start. She thought to herself, "If all of this is just a dream, why would God give me such a trial? Did I unknowingly commit a grave sin against God? Or am I being punished for being too greedy? If there's a reason for all of this, please let me know what it is. I want to escape the shackles of fate and fall into an eternal sleep." Suddenly, a voice called out, wake up, you two." It was Jack. His expression wasn't very good. Eva cried out in surprise. "Ah!" Jack put on a smile and asked Eva, "You must be very tired, still sleeping like that. Here's some bread. I managed to get a few pieces, but it might not be enough." Eva quickly took it and said to Jack, "Thank you so much, sir. Is it lunchtime already?" Jack replied before leaving, "It's lunch before we set off. Later, when we stop for a break, you two can go outside for a bit." Eva asked in surprise, "But what about the guards?" Jack smiled and answered, "The guards will gather together during their break, so you don't need to worry. Of course, you should still be careful." He quickly left to avoid being noticed. Nana and Eva continued to hide behind the large crates. Eva smiled and said to her nanny, "Nana, you eat it all. I'm not hungry." Nana's eyes welled up. "Our little miss has grown up, even saying what I usually say before I can. We'll share it, now and always." Finally, Eva broke the piece of bread in half. They rested again until the wagon started moving. The wagon train traveled over a rough, rocky stretch of road. They were jolted awake by the intense shaking on that stretch of road. It seemed Nana was exhausted after several days in the wagon. The wagon train stopped again on a shady stretch of road. Eva and Nana carefully assessed the situation and stepped outside. They quickly returned to their hiding spot after. Going outside, Eva frowned with worry, peeking through a gap in the canvas covering the back of the wagon. "That's strange, Nana. I don't see any guards. I heard they're from the famous Fortusa mercenaries, but why is the security so lax?" Nana reassured her, "That's fortunate for us." Eva and Nana went back outside to get some fresh air. Eva dipped her hand into the cool forest stream. She suddenly asked Nana, "What kind of person is the head of the Galahan family?" Nana replied, "I don't know either. They weren't such a prominent family originally, but I hear the current head, Rex Galahan, is the one who elevated them to this level." Eva turned her head to look at Nana, Rex Galahan. The name sounds like someone very capable. However, Nana disagreed. Capable? Don't say that. Mississippi rumors of him being cold-blooded and incapable of tears are widespread. To raise a family status that high in such a short time, there must be someone backing him, meaning there have been shady dealings. It might be exaggerated rumors now, but we can't ignore them. Eva realized the truth in Nana's words that that's how it is. Nana told Eva, "Miss, I always wish for you to marry the son of a noble family, but not anymore." Eva thought sadly, because now I can't live as Eva Beltoner and ask for that. Nana continued, expressing her distant hope that IT should be a kind person, regardless of status, a chivalrous person who lives for you, Mississippi. Eva stammered, Nana cut her off. Don't lose hope. This hardship will one day pass, like a long night followed by the morning sun. Come on, miss, you'll catch a cold in this wind. Eva felt even sadder after Nana's words. How could she overcome this pain? She hesitantly called out to Nana, "Nana, will Ted also become a star?" Nana replied calmly, "A star? He died doing evil, so he'll go to hell." Eva lowered her head further and said dejectedly, "I won't become a star either. I'll go to hell, won't I?" Nana scolded her gently, miss. She grasped Eva's hand tightly. If you go, I'll go too, even if it's hell or the end of the world. Don't worry too much, Mississippi. We'll share this guilt for the rest of our lives, living and repenting. Eva hugged Nana tightly and sobbed. Nana. The two quickly returned to their hiding place. Eva stealthily observed their surroundings. She lifted the curtain slightly. Eva helped Nana up first, not noticing someone appearing behind her. Found you, two little mice. Eva flinched at the stranger's words. Both Eva and Nana turned around simultaneously. She cried out in alarm, "Rex Galahan." Rex looked at Eva with clear amusement. He smirked, "So you know me, huh?" Well, anyone with a little sense would figure it out. Eva remained silent, her mind in turmoil and further frightened by his sudden appearance. Rex stepped in front of her. He bent down and asked with a smile, "Surprised? Being ambushed like that. I quite like this method, pretending not to know to see how far you'd go." The driver of carriage number 40 was always taking food, so I found it strange. Stopping the carriage in a deserted place was also odd, so I deliberately sent the guards away to let the two mice out of my carriage. Eva answered him honestly, "I apologize. I had to get to Montana, but I didn't know how. When I heard the head of the Galahan family was heading that way, I took a chance." Eva bowed her head respectfully that I truly apologize. However, a suspicious person like Rex would never let this uninvited guest off easily. He pressed Eva further. "If you were truly sorry, you wouldn't have hidden in someone else's carriage. What were you doing in my carriage?" His question made Eva flinch. She immediately looked up at him, her eyes filled with fear. Rex spoke again with an arrogant attitude. "I asked if you touch my things? Forget it. A search will tell." Eva wanted to step forward to stop the guards, but she couldn't fight them. She anxiously said to Rex, "Wait a minute. Although I did wrong by being so hasty, we absolutely didn't touch your luggage." Nana yelled at a guard as he threw their luggage out. No, there weren't many belongings inside, so when it hit the ground, everything was exposed. Eva blurted out underwear. Nana trembled with anger. She suppressed her resentment to repack their belongings. Eva coldly said to Rex, "Are you satisfied now? We are not thieves." However, Rex didn't think he had done anything wrong. Just sneaking into the carriage was considered stealing. "Well, it seems I didn't steal anything, so don't report it." He coldly ordered them both, "Get out of here." Eva's eyes widened upon hearing Rex's command that in the middle of the night like this, there isn't even a single house around. I don't even know where this is. No, if I want to get to Montana, I need a carriage. Eva anxiously negotiated with Rex. "Mr. Rex Galahan, please don't send us away. If you agree to transport us, we will pay the fare." Her proposal made Rex laugh. "Look here, miss, do you know how much my carriage fare is?" He didn't bother thinking any further and waved to the guards, dragged them away. Eva anxiously cried out, "Wait." She looked at him with pleading eyes. What if I work? Rex turned his head in surprise. What? Eva continued, hoping to persuade him. I'll wash clothes, cook, and run errands. I'll do anything you ask. Rex sneered. Anything as I please. Eva nodded firmly at him, even though she knew Rex wouldn't easily let her stay like this. Yes, anything. Rex quickly agreed to her request. All right, if we're going to be together, we should introduce ourselves, shouldn't we? Your name is... Nana suddenly stepped forward, shielding Eva behind her back. Thank you for agreeing to this. My name is Margaret, and this child is my daughter, Lily. Pleased to meet you, Margaret and Lily. Rex told the guards, set up a tent for these two. That night, hushed conversation drifted from a tent. What did the girl call the older woman? Rex was probing Eva's identity through a guard. She called her Nana, sir. And the woman who claims to be the mother called the girl Mississippi. Rex propped his chin in his hand, thinking, they lied about their identities as I suspected. Starting tomorrow, have them prepare meals and run errands. Have that girl personally bring my meals and tea. He recalled Eva's determined expression when she told him, I'll do anything you ask. Rex thought to himself, as soon as her first offer was refused, she came up with another proposal. Quite commendable for a noble lady. I'm curious what happened. A boring journey is about to become very interesting indeed. After being allowed to stay, Nana and Eva began their work, distributing food to the soldiers and merchants. Eva continued her work, her face devoid of emotion. She repeatedly performed the single task of distributing food. Eva turned and whispered to her nanny, Nana, you eat first, Nana. I'll be back in a moment. She lifted the curtain of a tent. I've brought your breakfast. It was Rex's tent. He greeted her warmly as soon as he saw her. Good morning, Lily. Did you sleep all right? Eva answered him honestly, yes, thanks to you. Rex interrupted her. I apologize about last night. Merchants are very sensitive about theft. Since it's important merchandise for trading, I had to be concerned. Eva gently placed the food on the table and simply replied, yes. Rex complimented her cooking. Smells delicious. He quickly scooped up a spoonful and brought it to his mouth. His face became full of life, his eyes sparkling with happiness. Delicious. These mashed potatoes, did you make them? Eva replied, yes. Rex only ate that single bite. He didn't touch the rest. Rex then put on a provoking expression, resting his chin on his hand and sighing, it's just a shame that this is the dish I hate most in the world. Eva was immediately startled. Then I'll bring you something else. Rex waved his hand dismissively. I can't trouble Lily just for that. Skipping breakfast isn't a big deal. It's just that skipping breakfast might ruin my day a little. Sit down. Your job is to sit here until I finish eating. Eva obediently sat down, quietly waiting for him to enjoy his meal. Rex sipped his tea. Good tea. Are you a fallen noble? Eva remained silent. Rex repeated, didn't you hear me? I asked if you're a fallen noble. Eva calmly answered him. I don't know why you'd ask that, but I'm not. Rex interrupted her. You're lying. Are you married? Eva replied, I'm not. Rex continued to question her. Is that the truth? Then do you have someone you like? Eva was a little surprised by his sudden question, and she thought to herself, he made me bring him food just to ask me these things. Rex smiled knowingly, not a lie, but not entirely truthful either. What is it then? Do you like someone but broke up? Or do you like someone you shouldn't be with? Eva avoided his inquisitive gaze. I said no. Rex asked again, aren't you curious how I know? When someone lies, their pupils move. Eva suddenly became anxious, her whole body trembling. She said to Rex, Mr. Rex, you're very observant. Did you grow up paying close attention to other people's eyes? Rex wasn't offended by the question. Instead, he smiled and replied, being observant means I grew up having to pay attention to the eyes of those around me. Eva suddenly spoke about her circumstances. I've lived like that. I've lived a difficult life, so I have to pay attention to other people's eyes. Just by looking at their expressions, I can immediately tell their mood. She placed her hands on the table and stood up. It seems you're flustered. I'll be going now. Rex smiled, his eyes crinkling, and brought his teacup to his lips. Who's flustered? Me? Eva, unafraid, honestly replied, yes, Mr. Rex. Your pupils are darting back and forth. Eva's words stunned Rex, his smile momentarily freezing. Eva told him, in the future, if you call me in to ask these kind of questions, I won't answer. Sitting down is also a job, so I'll do it, but whether I answer or not is my prerogative. She nodded to Rex as a farewell. Well then, if you'll excuse me. The tent flap was lowered, but the force Eva used wasn't gentle at all. Rex chuckled awkwardly. What was that? Interesting, much more than I expected. The cargo carriage continued on its way to the capital. Inside one of the carriages, Nana's voice could be heard. I hear that even if apples are delicious, You shouldn't eat too many. Huh. You have to get a stomachache to learn your lesson, so it's worth a try, right? But even if you try, not everyone realizes that. People who don't want to change will absolutely never change. However, is it necessarily a bad thing to not change and stubbornly stay the same? Eva sat quietly, letting Nana rest her head on her shoulder, the conversation drifting within the carriage. Lily, what about you? Are you in the process of changing yourself now? Rex, shamelessly abandoning his seat up front, climbed into their carriage and clung to Eva. Go out with me. If you want to change yourself, dating is the best way to do it. Eva flatly rejected his offer. I don't want to. Rex smiled and asked why. Someone like me isn't a bad catch, is he? You're not my type. Please try finding someone else. Rex told Eva, there are many types of girls, beautiful, gentle, and those who suit my taste at night. His words unintentionally annoyed Eva. She looked him straight in the eye. You categorize women that way. Rex raised an eyebrow. What? Don't like it? I categorize everything. Objects are high grade, mid grade, low grade. Men are better than me, worse than me, and utterly terrible. People are those you should help, those you shouldn't help, and those you should avoid. Well, sometimes there's a special class. Eva suddenly found herself rather interested in Rex's classification system. What kind of value and wonder does the special class possess? Rex turned serious. The special class can't be evaluated like that. It's simply that if I want it badly enough, even a dung beetle becomes special. Eva sighed softly at his flippant answer. Oh, on the contrary, Rex was quite amused by her reaction. He proposed to Eva, think about it carefully. If you go out with me, I'll treat you well. Eva refused again, and oh, thank you. Rex asked why. Because I'm not a noble. Eva fell silent at his question. Shortly after, she said, whether or not you're a noble has nothing to do with it. Someone obsessed with that kind of thinking isn't attractive at all. Rex laughed. You have the ability to hurt people subtly. Eva replied, I apologize. It's because my learning ability is quite good. Rex put his hands behind his head and laughed heartily. Eva turned to look out the window, thinking to herself, what's so funny? I don't know what triggered this change in my mood. Rex told Eva, this is the Ruble region. A little further, and we'll reach Viscount Kensington's territory. Have you heard of Duke Kensington? Eva quickly replied, yes, I've heard of him a little. Rex informed her, tomorrow we'll be visiting Duke Kensington's castle. Would you like to come along? Eva frowned and replied, no. However, Rex didn't give her a chance to refuse. Why? Is there a reason you can't go? Or are you avoiding the gaze of others? Eva lowered her head and hesitantly replied, no, it's not that. Rex told her, then come along. While I take care of my business, you can visit the gardens there. Duke Kensington's castle is famous for its beautiful gardens. Eva responded in an uncertain tone, I'll think about it. Rex smiled and said, all right, don't worry, Lily. No one will know where you've gone. Even if you're running away, everyone needs a breather sometimes, don't they? Eva was a little displeased to hear him advising her like this. Mr. Rex, I told you it's not like that. At a cool spot beneath the shade of the forest trees. Inside the large mansion, an old man lay sleeping in his bed. Edward visited him, General Dantes. Once a ferocious beast, leading the knights across every battlefield and roaring with power, now you've become a frail, old lion confined to your bed. General Dantes stretched out a trembling hand. Your Highness, come closer. Don't fall prey to Empress Mary's schemes. You must become emperor. No matter what anyone says, Your Highness, you are the rightful heir to the throne. Secure the seats of the elders, establish the council, and then pressure the empress. Having given his instructions, he fell back into a deep sleep. Edward thought to himself, General Dantes, thank you for everything. Don't worry about anything and rest in peace. When the sun sets, we will set foot in Ruble. All the knights called out, yes. Edward shouted, let's depart, to Duke Kensington's castle. In her tent, Eva was caring for her nanny. Nana, are you all right? You have a fever. Have you taken your medicine? Nana replied, I'm fine. Mississippi, don't worry too much. Cough, cough. Eva told her, how can I not be concerned? Where is your medicine? Nana simply said, I'm fine. Eva asked, is there no medicine left? Did you take it all? Nana remained silent. Eva worried, why are you like this? Honestly, if there's no medicine, you should have told me sooner. Eva took her bracelet and went outside. She gently lifted the flap of Rex's tent. She softly asked, Sir, are you in there? I have something to discuss. Would you be available to talk for a moment? There was no reply from inside. Eva thought to herself, he must be inside, but why isn't he answering me? What's that smell? She saw smoke rising from beneath the tent. Eva was startled. Could it be? She lifted the tent flap and ran inside. Mr. Rex. She saw a fairly large fire engulfing the tent. Eva cried out no. She frantically pulled at her clothes to try and smother the flames. Eva threw her clothes onto the burning fire. She knelt down. Eva was covered in soot. The small fire was under control. Exhausted, Eva sat there. She saw him showing signs of waking up. Ugh, no. Mother, mother, no. Eva grabbed Rex's wrist. Rex woke up with a start. Eva called his name, Mr. Rex. Rex startled and looked directly at her. Lily. Eva gasped when he suddenly grabbed her wrist. Mr. Rex. He lay on the bed, his eyes slightly unfocused. Lily. Seeming to realize who was before him, he released her hand. He sat up abruptly and ordered Eva get out. I want to be alone. Before she could answer, soldiers rushed in from outside. Head of the Galahan family. Seeing them enter, she discreetly took her leave, but upon reaching the canvas separating the inside of the tent from the outside, she paused, looking back at the person within. Rex, having just woken up, had a somber and pensive look in his eyes. Eva quickly turned and left. Stepping outside, Eva couldn't stop thinking about Rex's expression. What could have caused him to look like that? She was walking when she suddenly stopped. She was taken aback by the scene before her. There was a river, and nearby a small bridge leading to the other side. What is that? Through the thick dust and smoke, Eva saw a flickering figure standing within the haze. Before she could wonder who it was, the sound of horses galloping powerfully across the bridge echoed. Among the armored horsemen, Eva's attention was drawn to one in particular. She seemed to recognize the familiar figure and gasped. Under the moonlight, the armor of the riding knight shone brightly. Her blue eyes widened further as she saw the figure. But as quick as lightning, the figure dashed away. Their cloak billowed in the strong wind. Eva remained standing there, witnessing a troop of soldiers ride past her. Now, she couldn't see them as clearly as before, only their silhouettes receding into the distance. She continued to watch them ride away. It can't be. He left Crossfield long ago, didn't he? Preoccupied with the passing knights, she hadn't noticed someone standing nearby. Hearing footsteps, Eva turned to see Rex, who had been there for some time. What are you doing here, Mr. Rex? He maintained a calm expression, his gaze steady as he looked directly at her. I came to thank you, apologize, and ask you something. Because I'm a nightmare, I let you see a side of me you shouldn't have. Thank you for helping me, and I apologize for hurting your wrist. Despite the difference in their social standing, Eva maintained her composure that I'm fine. Please don't worry about it. Seeing that everything was all right, Rex changed the subject. But why did you come to my tent so late at night? He suddenly brought up this topic, and she just let out a small oh. Eva suddenly held out a necklace. Its centerpiece, a rather large emerald-cut diamond. Rex took the necklace curiously and asked, "What is this?" She anxiously explained, "I'll give you this. In exchange, please take my mother to the hospital tomorrow. Will this be enough for the hospital fees?" Rex scoffed without hesitation. Huh? Are you stupid? Giving me this necklace for hospital fees? Do you know how much this necklace is worth? She replied softly, I don't know. He then advised her, listen carefully, Lily. There's one rule you must always follow in this world. Be suspicious, suspicious, and suspicious. When you sell this necklace, if someone offers you 30 sil, sell it to someone else. And if that person offers 300 sil, take it to someone else as well. Until no one else bid any higher, Eva listened silently to his instructions. Rex continued, you'll think you're lucky. If it were me, I would have just paid 10 sil for the hospital fees and taken this 3,000 sil bracelet. I'm telling you the truth, to repay you for your help just now. His face showed helplessness as he held the bracelet. Hearing the price of the bracelet, she looked doubtful. 3,000 sil. He saw her suspicion. Why are you so naive? If I were determined, selling you into slavery wouldn't be difficult. She retorted, you wouldn't sell me. Rex was a little surprised by Eva's certainty. What? She didn't hesitate to voice her conviction that a little suspicion is necessary. But I think trust is also important. I beg you, Mr. Rex. I know you're not that kind of person. He was momentarily speechless at her words. After a moment, he chuckled softly. Just keep it. Tomorrow we'll go to the hospital. She reached out to take the bracelet, not forgetting to thank him. Thank you, Mr. Rex. After returning the bracelet, he glanced over and saw her looking ahead. What are you looking at? Eva smiled in response. Just the beautiful stars. At a mansion, lights were still on. Your Highness, please come in. My apologies, Duke, for my late arrival. Before him, servants stood in a line, bowing their heads. Edward wore gleaming silver armor. Another voice rang out. It's been a while since I've seen your Highness. You look even more dashing. He calmly replied, "Let's talk inside." The Duchess greeted him with a smile. "I heard you've already dined, so shall I bring out some tea?" Benjamin answered for him, "There's no need, Duchess. Perhaps His Highness should rest. Riding all day must have been tiring." The Duke agreed with him. "Perhaps so. Well then, His Highness's room has been prepared, so please rest comfortably." A soft voice called out, "Your Highness." Edward smiled gently at her. "Olivia, it's been a while." She smiled gently back. "Tea has been a long time, Your Highness. I will escort you to your room." When they reached the room, Benjamin asked, "Your Highness, what do you think?" He unbuttoned his shirt as he asked about what. Benjamin didn't hesitate to get to the point. "About Miss Olivia?" Edward simply hummed his name, "Benjamin." He replied, "Yes, Your Highness." Edward paused in unbuttoning his shirt, a thoughtful look in his eyes. "Now, immediately send someone to Bear Macy's. Confirm if Miss Macy is all right." Benjamin was surprised. "Yes, but why so suddenly, Your Highness?" Edward disliked repeating himself. He simply said, "Benjamin." Benjamin wisely fell silent. Understood. A night quickly passed. On the road, a carriage was traveling. Inside, Rex and Eva sat. Eva thought to herself, "Why is he so quiet today, Mr. Rex? Why are we going to Kensington Castle? He didn't bother hiding it, because I have something he needs my help with." The sound of the carriage wheels continued rhythmically outside. "What kind of person is Duke Kensington?" Rex didn't answer, instead asking, "Why do you ask?" Eva simply remained silent at his question. He rested his chin on his hand, glancing at her. "I don't care and don't really know how others perceive him. However, I do know a few things that others don't. He takes great pride in his family, and he's not only cold and meticulous, but also a sly fox with dozens of venomous snakes in his belly. I hear he also holds the position of chairman of the Council of Veteran Elders in the Imperial Court." Eva then asked, "The chairman of the Council of Veteran Elders?" Rex answered her question. "He's one of the most politically powerful people in the Empire. He's known to be a man of principle and belongs to the neutral faction, but his reputation isn't worth much. He looks from side to side and then clings to the stronger side like a bat." "Well, isn't that his intention?" Eva listened to Rex talk about Duke Kensington in silence. "Sir Rex, do you dislike Duke Kensington?" He bluntly expressed his disgust. "I hate nobles. They reek of filth." Eva could only softly reply yes. She then brought her hand up to sniff herself. At the Duke's mansion, the servants were still gossiping about Edward, His Highness the Crown Prince. "It's the first time I've seen someone so handsome. Indeed, just standing still, he radiates an aura. But what brings him here so suddenly?" The servants whispered amongst themselves, "Don't you know the reason? It's because of Our Lady, of course." The maid walking beside her suddenly asked back, "Really?" "Yes, I heard that Lady Olivia will become the next crown princess. So, even though they're about to meet in Montana, he still rode all the way here. He wanted to see the lady even a little sooner." Edward stood in the room, looking out the window, silently listening to the two maids' conversation. Nearby, several carriages were parked. He looked at a carriage and thought to himself, "Is there a family that uses a jeweled iPhone as their emblem?" Just as he thought this, the people inside the carriage began to emerge. A young man with platinum blonde hair extended his hand to help a young woman down from the carriage. The young woman had long, shimmering golden hair. Edward's eyes widened as he watched the figure step down from the carriage. He watched the entire scene unfold from upstairs. "Your Highness," Benjamin suddenly called out, causing Edward to flinch, startled from his deep concentration. Benjamin curiously asked, "Why are you so surprised?" Edward didn't reveal the reason, simply turning around and giving a perfunctory reply, "It's nothing." "What is it?" Benjamin, standing opposite him, announced, "Duke Kensington is waiting for you. Shall we prepare?" Edward calmly replied yes. Before going to prepare, he reluctantly turned back to look down at the carriage below. Near the carriage, several people were carrying wooden crates. "Down," he sighed, thinking to himself, "This is pathetic. Just because she has similar hair color, I thought of that woman." After waiting for Edward to prepare, Benjamin said, "The situation is a little unusual." After the last Elder Council meeting, the Duke stopped by the Melinda Tavern. Madame Melinda is Marquis Satoka's mistress. As you know, the Marquis is the Empress's cousin. Edward paused slightly and asked, "The Duke is siding with the Empress?" "It doesn't seem so, Your Highness." Despite receiving generous treatment, the Duke gracefully withdrew from that faction. Benjamin's answer left Edward in thought. After finishing his preparations, he turned and said, "Let's go." "In another room. Please come in, Your Highness." "Did you sleep well last night?" Edward sat in the middle of a long sofa, crossing his legs leisurely as he replied, "All thanks to the Duke." Benjamin and Duke Kensington sat opposite him on separate chairs. "Tea would be wonderful if you could stay longer. You said you would depart immediately." Benjamin raised his teacup to his lips and answered for him. "Because I misinformed His Highness about his leave. Her Majesty the Queen would be furious if he were any later. Isn't it better to leave quickly to avoid punishment?" He spoke suspiciously. "He's not someone to be punished, is he? Considering his meeting with General Dantes and leaving this place. It seems like His Highness doesn't care about the eyes around him at all." Benjamin continued to answer for Edward. "It was just a visit to check on someone's health. There's no need to be wary of the surroundings." The Duke interjected, "Since you have come to see me, Your Highness, you must be more cautious from now on. I can feel the gazes from within the palace all the way here." He stated firmly, "Whose gaze within the palace dares to follow His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince? Isn't everyone in the palace thinking the same thing?" From beginning to end, Edward hadn't interjected in their conversation. At this point, he finally spoke. "Duke Kensington, have I come to the wrong place?" His sudden question made the Duke anxious. "No, Your Highness." The Duke replied worriedly, In my heart, I have always awaited your visit." Edward's expression remained unchanged, his face still cold. "Yes, that's so." The Duke continued to try and show his support. "Yes, Your Highness. As long as you heed my request. Your Highness, you have more influence than anyone. You have me on your side." The corners of Edward's lips curved slightly upwards. "That I know. Is that possible? This cunning man? It means that if I refuse his conditions, he will immediately turn to the Queen's side." Edward also made his own request. "Duke Kensington, I have a request." The Duke nodded. "Please speak, Your Highness. As for the rest, we will continue our discussion in Montana. What do you think?" Seeing Edward's sudden request, the Duke stammered, "But Your Highness." Edward didn't let him finish, continuing, "Sitting here isn't very comfortable, and I have a bit of a headache. I think I should take a walk in the garden to relax. Could I perhaps ask Lady Kensington to show me around the garden?" The Duke was stunned to hear Edward request his daughter as a guide. Duke Kensington chuckled and replied, "Of course. By all means, Your Highness." In another room, Rex sat calmly drinking tea. A servant approached and asked, "Would you like more tea, Mr. Rex?" He declined, and "Oh, more tea." "Is the Duke busy?" The servant replied, "Yes, because His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince, visited last night." Rex asked in surprise, "What? Who visited?" "You mean His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is here in the city right now?" The servant nodded. "Yes, sir." He abruptly stood up and exclaimed, "Good heavens! Lily!" "No, Eva, I know that Lily is hiding her identity. Not only the vocabulary used by the nobility, but also her way of speaking and elegant posture. It's just that, for a noble, those hands are calloused and rough. The only candidate who meets both conditions is someone from the Crossfield region. Eva Belle Zuner Massey is the daughter of a renowned noble family known throughout the empire, and also the former fiancé of the Crown Prince. No, of course, it's possible Lily isn't the daughter of the Massey family. But what if it really is Eva? What if she runs into her former fiancé, the Crown Prince? No way. If she encounters the Crown Prince, without hesitation, Rex quickly stepped out of the room to find Eva. "Where are you going?" He was stopped before he could get far. His voice was a little urgent. "It's getting late, so I thought I'd leave without waiting." The other man calmly explained, "His Highness the Crown Prince arrived, so I was a little delayed." Rex anxiously said. Then later, the other man's voice clearly showed annoyance. "Don't talk so much, just go in." At this point, Rex could only press his lips together. "Please check this, sir. This is the list of goods you mentioned." He presented a document. "It'll probably be fine. I heard that girl has never met the Crown Prince. She's in the garden now, so there's no chance of them running into each other. And even if they did, they wouldn't recognize each other." In the garden, Eva was strolling. She stood under the warm sunlight, gently holding her hat against the passing breeze. She smiled slightly because the weather was so beautiful today. But before she could fully appreciate it, she saw the silhouettes of two people walking towards her. Eva panicked slightly. What should she do? She had no choice but to hide behind a nearby tree. The figures of a man and a woman gradually approached. It turned out to be Edward and Olivia. Eva peeked out at the person who had just arrived, unable to believe it. "Why is he here?" Olivia spoke first. "This is wonderful, Your Highness. I can't believe I'm walking in the garden in Ragna with Your Highness like this." His voice remained calm. Somehow it turned out this way. Olivia asked, "Are you on your way back after stopping somewhere, Your Highness? You've been away from the westbound road for quite some time." Edward politely replied, "I was at Bailey Castle." Her footsteps stopped. "Isn't that Count Massey's castle?" His eyes held a hint of sadness. "It belongs to Count Holland now. The Holland family already has 3 castles, and they bought another one." She voiced her thoughts that it seems collecting castles is their hobby. She continued, likely sensing his complex emotions. "That's the place that holds memories of your former fiancé." Edward remained silent at her words. "There are rumors that Lady Massey is living somewhere in that region. Have you heard of it, Your Highness?" "He didn't intend to hide anything that I have. And we've met." Olivia said, "So you've met. Is she well?" Edward momentarily remained silent, not answering. Worry appeared on her face. It seems she isn't as well as one might think. I suppose you must have thought you should help her a little, given the circumstances. She was your fiancée, after all." Now Edward spoke. "I intended to, but I couldn't." She refused. "That is, you directly offered her help? That's humiliating for a woman." He didn't quite understand Olivia's meaning. Humiliating? Olivia explained, "No one likes to receive outright pity, especially not someone of noble birth like Lady Massey." He asked pity. She gently advised him, "Later, if you meet her again, please seek advice from me. A woman understands a woman's heart best. I also want to help." From beginning to end, Eva stood behind a tree, listening. Edward refused, drawing a clear line between them. "Olivia, I don't want to talk about Miss Massey anymore because our relationship ended a long time ago." Eva's eyes widened in surprise at his words. "Our relationship ended a long time ago, so don't bring it up again like this." Edward suddenly heard something not far from them. Without hesitation, he turned and ran towards the sound. But when he reached the base of a tree, there was no one there, as if the sound he'd heard had been a mistake. He said nothing, his eyes somber. "Why am I like this?" Edward wearily brought a hand to his forehead. Her image wouldn't leave his mind. Nearby, she hurriedly ran away. Her footsteps didn't stop. She continued running forward. Yes, her connection with him only went that far. The hands that had helped her so kindly, and the concern he'd shown when he called her out from the dark dressing room and kissed the back of her hand. Their heated breaths mingling in the moonlit garden. It was all an illusion. Memories of their past continuously surfaced. To him, she was just a pitiful former fiancée he happened to meet again. The time they spent together no longer held any meaning. Despite thinking this, disappointment was evident on her face. She felt like a fragile existence that could be severed with a single knife cut. Now, I will also let him go. The heart-wrenching feeling of having to let go of the one she loved brought tears of anguish to her eyes. She would forget him. The turbulent waves in her heart caused by him would finally become calm. "Inside a room, O Gold?" "Land it is," Rex said without hesitation. "Since you're the Duke, you get a special price, lower than the original asking price." Duke Kensington sat at his desk, looking at Rex, sitting nearby. "That it's not that I don't understand you. Let's make it from this gold." He sat in his chair, watching the Duke. "If you offer 3 gold coins, you'll lower the price, won't you? How about 5,000 sil for this gold?" He immediately agreed. "All right, I'll pay it all at the end of this month." As he spoke, he placed some papers on the desk. Rex smiled and picked up the papers, asking, "Is this your signature?" "You know, I only accept payment slips with a confirmation seal." The Duke quickly offered an excuse that I left my seal in Montana. "Couldn't you bring something like that with you until the holidays?" Rex seemed to have realized Duke Kensington's scheme that I'll return to Montana to get the payment slip. "Once I have it, I'll give you the goods." Seeing Rex's decisive actions, the Duke clenched his hand, stopping him. "Wait, I really can't understand why you're so insistent on the seal." He turned his back to the desk as he spoke, under Rex's watchful gaze. At his desk, he finally took out the seal and stamped it for Rex, even though he had just claimed to have left it in Montana. Having achieved his goal, Rex cheerfully said, "Thank you, Your Grace." Then, "If you'll excuse me." As soon as he finished speaking, the Duke continued, "Just lend me 30 gold coins." Rex asked in surprise, "You mean just 30 gold coins?" The Duke immediately affirmed his trustworthiness. "I'll return it soon." Rex didn't refuse, of course. "But are you all right, Your Grace?" The Duke, not understanding the implication in his words, asked back, "What are you talking about?" Rex just smiled and reiterated, even just the principal you've borrowed so far is quite a sum. Furthermore, 2 months ago, you were late with your interest payment, weren't you, Your Grace? Rex's reminder of past events made the Duke visibly annoyed. That's insulting. How dare you mention the delay in repayment? Rex pretended to realize his mistake and bowed in apology. I apologize, Your Grace. I misspoke. The Duke turned his face away and instructed Rex, don't worry and prepare the money. I will pay the interest in full. Rex, ever the shrewd one, having taken 1 step forward, now took 2 steps back. Of course, Your Grace. Then I will see you in Montana to fill out the paperwork. The seal, Your Grace. You must have it prepared. As he spoke, the corner of Rex's lips curled up, revealing his calculations. Outside the mansion, the carriage was still waiting. Rex approached the carriage and forcefully opened the door. Eva was sitting inside. Seeing her, he asked Lily. She didn't answer, only silently lowered her head, her face showing sadness. He didn't need her to speak to guess the situation. It seemed she had met the crown prince. The carriage quickly departed, beginning its journey on the long road. Although they had traveled quite a distance, the two still hadn't spoken a word to each other. Now, Rex looked up and started a conversation with Eva. Did something happen? Eva still decided not to speak. And, oh, have you finished your work? Rex didn't hesitate to apologize. I apologize, Miss Eva. Because His Highness the Crown Prince visited, I was a little late. It seems he came to persuade the Duke. His Highness needs to rally the nobles and the Elder Council to his side to gain enough power. Hearing this, Eva only softly replied, yes. Rex continued, or perhaps he came to see Olivia. Hearing this, she looked up at him. Olivia? What? Rex calmly explained to her, the Duke's daughter. She's the most beautiful and admired young lady in the capital. It said she's been quite close to the Crown Prince since childhood. Rumor has it she's the strongest candidate for the position of Crown Princess. Eva's face darkened further upon hearing this news. Rex didn't know what to say when he saw her expression. After a moment of silence, he looked out the window and said to her, the royal palace is a very dangerous place. Eva didn't understand why he suddenly brought this up. Huh? What do you mean? He still didn't look at her. If, by chance, something happens and you have to step inside, find a way to escape. It's a very dirty and dangerous place. A child like you absolutely couldn't endure it. Hearing his warning, she could only remain silent for a moment. Outside, the carriage continued on its way. Eva rested her chin on her hand, looking out the window. Despite looking outside, her eyes couldn't hide her thoughts. Eva rested her chin in her hand and gazed out the window. Though she looked outside, her eyes couldn't hide her pensive thoughts. Rex looked at her as if pondering something. What are you thinking so intently about? Is she feeling pessimistic about her situation and wallowing in self-pity? Or is she thinking about the Crown Prince and Olivia? Despite guessing this, he still voiced his question. What are you thinking about? Eva softly replied, it's just, why is everyone only questioning whether he intends to sway the Elder Council? Her thoughts were completely different from what he had guessed. After speaking, she continued to rest her chin on her hand, gazing outside without saying anything. Their conversation ebbed and flowed, unlike the steady rhythm of the carriage outside. Suddenly, the carriage stopped. Rex asked the driver, what's wrong? The driver immediately explained, there's a group of soldiers approaching from behind. It looks like His Highness the Crown Prince and his royal guard. It would be best to let them pass first. Rex agreed with the driver's suggestion. I understand. Everyone, please get out of the carriage and wait. Eva, sitting inside the carriage, had overheard the conversation between Rex and the driver. Her body involuntarily trembled. Rex easily noticed her unusual state. Lily, he said, we have to get out. There's no other way. As he spoke, he knelt down on one knee and gently comforted her. Eva remained silent, only clenching her hand tightly. I don't want to get out. The more she thought about it, the paler her face became with fear. I don't want to see him. A look of worry appeared in his eyes as he saw her like this. Lily, a company of soldiers on horseback, is approaching not far from here, led by Edward. Because they stopped abruptly, Benjamin asked the knight / what's the matter / The knight turned back and reported, there are 2 carriages stopped ahead. It seems they intend to yield and let our carriages pass first, Your Highness. He calmly instructed, go and confirm the situation. After Benjamin spoke, everyone continued riding forward. As they approached the carriages, they saw several people standing outside, bowing and greeting. A knight spoke up, state your identity and from where you hail. Rex calmly revealed his identity. I am Rex Galahan, Lord of the Galahan lands, Your Highness. I saw the company of knights approaching from afar, so I stopped to wait for you to pass. Benjamin quickly recognized him. That crest indeed belongs to the head of the Galahan lands. It's a large estate within our empire. Shall we go over and speak with him, Your Highness? Edward's face darkened when he recognized the carriage. The Delapon crest. So it's that carriage from earlier. Very well. With that, he dismounted his horse. He and a few other knights walked towards Rex. Edward introduced himself. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Crown Prince Edward Butterfield. Rex bowed, his voice respectful. It is an honor to meet you, Your Highness. Edward asked curiously, do you have business nearby? Rex, still bowing, replied, I had an item to deliver to Duke Kensington, so I was just returning from his estate. I heard about Your Highness's visit to the city, but as I didn't have the standing to meet you, I took the liberty of departing immediately. Edward understood the situation. I see. You're quite accomplished to have built up such a territory at a young age. One day, I'll send someone to invite you to visit the royal palace. Rex replied, it would be an honor, Your Highness. He's certainly unique. Even though he thanked me, he didn't seem particularly happy, and I haven't completely lost my confidence. If he wasn't deliberately making up a story, this kind of person isn't bad. Edward mused for a moment, then asked, but according to what you said, you came to Duke Kensington City alone? Sir, Rex calmly replied, and oh, Your Highness, I brought luggage with me. Edward smiled faintly. Besides luggage, no one else. For example, a young lady, perhaps? Edward's face registered surprise as he spoke, but he quickly regained his composure. Forgive me, Your Highness. My fiancée is also in the carriage, but she's not feeling well, so she's fallen asleep. A knight barked, insolent. Search the carriage. Rex calmly shrugged. You can inspect it as long as you like, but please don't open and close the carriage door too forcefully, as my fiancée is pregnant. He spoke with a gentle smile, as if worried about the woman he loved. Edward's gaze sharpened, fixed on Rex. A knight returned to report, there's a woman inside, Your Highness. Another knight ordered, open the door. The knight reached for the carriage door handle. But before he could open it, Edward spoke. Stop. Forgive me for this discourtesy. I will make amends for it next time we meet. Rex bowed skillfully, demurring, you are too kind, Your Highness. A horse neighed. Edward mounted his horse and looked down at Rex. I wish you happiness with your fiancée. With that, the company of knights quickly rode away. Inside the carriage, Eva stared blankly out the window, wearing Rex's coat. The company was large, but it wasn't difficult to make out Edward's figure. She watched longingly as they rode away, a mixture of longing and regret in her eyes. Rex then came to open the carriage door. They're gone. She replied softly, yes. At the same time, he climbed into the carriage and sat down. He leaned back against the seat and sighed, asking, but why are you trembling so much? Anyone would think you were the Crown Prince's former fiancée. Eva stammered in surprise, Mr. Rex. He propped his chin on his hand, looking bored. My apologies. I intended to feign ignorance until the very end, but you were far too obvious. Eva stammered. How did you know? Rex replied, you told me. She looked bewildered. When did I tell you? He calmly reminded her. A noblewoman jumping into a carriage with her nanny one night suggests you've caused quite a significant incident. I dislike being involved in troublesome affairs. I was going to pretend I knew nothing, so you needn't worry. She murmured, thank you, sir. All right then, try to get some rest. We still need to go to the hospital with your mother when we arrive. She seems to have quite a bad cold, or perhaps it's a mild case of pneumonia. With medicine, proper food, and plenty of rest, she should recover quickly. Eva stood beside a woman, asking anxiously, it's nothing serious, is it? The doctor quickly allayed her worries, assuring her that with proper treatment, she would recover. Hearing this, she was overjoyed. The woman smiled gently. See, Lily, didn't I tell you it would be all right? Although the doctor said so, she was still very worried about her mother. Even so, before it gets worse, you must take your medicine to get better quickly. Her mother took her hand and comforted her. What could be worse? From now on, stop worrying about me and take better care of your own health. Rex stood nearby, his face solemn as he watched the touching scene between mother and daughter. After a while, the two went outside to talk. You two played the roles of mother and daughter excellently. Eva smiled gently. Even though it was just acting, those were my true feelings. To me, my nanny is just like my mother. Rex chuckled softly and asked, you love your mother that much? Do you? She was a little surprised by his question, of course. Don't you, Mr. Rex? He leaned back in his chair and looked up at the sky. I don't know. My mother died young. Even if she were still alive, I'd be lucky if she didn't hate me. Eva immediately denied his words. How could a mother hate her own son? He shrugged his shoulders as if it were obvious. Yes, you can see. It's because I look like this. Eva didn't hesitate to express her thoughts about him. Mr. Rex, you're a very capable person. You lead such a large territory. Your mother would be very proud of you. I'm sure of it. He was momentarily taken aback by her words, but a feeling of shyness quickly crept into Rex's heart. He cleared his throat a few times. Your words don't suit the name Lily at all, you know? She was surprised by his statement. Huh? Rex continued, you're not a beautiful and fragile flower like that. But it is fitting because by using that name, you let me know you were lying. I hope you can quickly discard that name. Eva silently looked at him. Asterisk, is he encouraging me? Saying that I'm not as weak as I appear and hoping I'll find my true self again. Asterisk, she shyly said, thank you, Mr. Rex. He's nothing like me. This is the bracelet from before. Can I sell it for the amount you mentioned last time? Eva held out the bracelet. He smiled gently. Certainly. I'll even add an extra 500. Hearing him say that, she smiled happily. Thank you, Mr. Rex. He didn't say anything but gently placed his hand on her head and stroked it. As he stroked her hair, he smiled tenderly, just like an older brother petting his younger sister. Why does this feel so warm? At a mansion, these are the letters I received while the Count was away. Benjamin accepted the letters. Thank you. For 3 days, starting from the 10th, don't schedule anything for me. Because Rex had a meeting being held at Duke Kensington's territory. His subordinate quickly acknowledged the order. Understood. When his subordinate left, he began opening each letter. Vale Castle. On the letter were the words, urgent notice regarding Miss Macy. He sighed wearily. This again. In the bathroom, steam rose from the bathtub. Edward lay soaking in the bath, relaxing. He leaned back against the side of the tub and closed his eyes. That aren't you a little too relaxed? A familiar male voice rang out, causing him to open his eyes. He saw James leaning against the wall. What is it so early in the morning? He grinned. What do you think? You just got back from vacation, so of course I came to visit. Edward smiled and closed his eyes, making me want to cry. James walked closer to his bathtub, as expected of my talented older brother. Even on his day off, he receives a discharge notice and then bustles around, bothering people. You should restrain yourself a bit. What if you're assassinated while wandering around without any protection? My precious self will ascend to the throne, not some charm. His calm gaze served as a reminder. Come on, James. But it seemed James still didn't understand and continued to provoke him. You need to be careful, Your Highness, especially in a space like this where no one else is around. What if I had ulterior motives? As soon as he finished speaking, Edward stood up and left the bathtub. Stepping out, the long scars on his body became clearly visible. Edward's sudden action startled him. He calmly wrapped a robe around himself, then tied it. Finished, he began to walk forward, causing James to shrink back in fear. As he walked towards him, he said, James, there's a decorative sword hanging on the wall outside the bathroom. It's quite sharp. Bring it here and try stabbing me. I won't tell anyone you did it. You want it, don't you? James began to fear Edward's composure. Are you crazy? If I did that, you'd have me arrested afterward. Edward smiled enigmatically. I could stab you back too. Want to try? You see, James, when I'm outside the palace, I sometimes wonder if I'm not quite right in the head. He started walking forward again, forcing James to retreat. He backed up until he hit the wall. Then he realized. But when I return to the palace, he said, slamming his hand against the wall, I suddenly realize how lowly I am. James stammered, What are you talking about? As soon as he finished speaking, Edward reached out and squeezed his throat. The desire to strangle you keeps growing within me. His grip tightened as he spoke, making James's face pale and his body tremble. But it doesn't feel bad. Imagining you crying miserably makes me quite happy. So provoke me often like this, so I don't forget my cruel nature. Having said that, he released James's neck. Released, James gasped for breath. Edward calmly turned and walked away. James suddenly spoke. The people around you, they know you're like this, don't they? At first, Edward just smiled and glanced at James. I don't know. My dear brother, James, you know best. With that, he left, leaving James standing there. In another luxurious room, Edward knelt on the floor beside a man's bed. The man appeared to be in a coma. Your Majesty, I won't forget your words. To become a good emperor. Don't worry about anything and rest well, Your Majesty. Until I can wear the Emperor's crown and sit on the throne, I won't turn back, and I don't need recognition. If those people want a challenge, then I will give them one. Mary sat on a chair and called him. Edward, come here. He approached and greeted her. It's been a while, Your Majesty. Empress Mary. She was a princess of the Astian Kingdom who married Emperor Louis of the Hambrian Empire at a rather late age. In the years following their marriage, they had no children, and during that time, the emperor fell in love with Catherine Holland, a close friend of his, and they had a son. The Empress Mary, who had quietly maintained her position, changed her behavior after the birth of James. More precisely, it was after she gave birth to her son, and the emperor appointed Edward as crown prince. A servant quickly poured tea for him. Drink this. I prepared my favorite tea for you. Edward politely thanked her. Thank you, Your Majesty. He picked up the teacup and said, I informed the palace of my later return date, as I wanted some peace and quiet. I will accept any punishment from the royal family. She smiled gently. It's a small matter. Just rest comfortably. She added, I heard you stopped by the ballet castle. He had no intention of denying it. Yes, Your Majesty. You're well informed. Mary gently lifted her teacup. It was rather careless of you to meet with Count Macy's daughter. He maintained his composure. She is my former fiancée. Can't I even meet with her to talk? She asked with a skeptical tone. Meet and talk? Was that truly all? He retorted, What more would you expect, Your Majesty? She smiled as if nothing was amiss. Nothing? That's a relief. I was worried you might have tarnished the royal family's honor. Edward didn't understand her implication. You say, tarnished our honor? Mary took a sip of tea and replied, Nothing in particular. I heard that the young lady ran away from the house she was staying in, so I simply asked. This was news to Edward, and his surprise was evident. She looked up and asked, Oh my, you didn't know? It's rumored she stabbed him in revenge and ran away because she had feelings for that house's son. But he said he wouldn't marry her. He stood up abruptly. I apologize, Your Majesty. I have an urgent matter to attend to, so I must excuse myself. With that, he turned and walked toward the door. She made no attempt to stop him, simply watching him leave, clearly shaken. A woman's intuition is frightening, isn't it? Isn't it? Find out about Count Macy's daughter. Find out where she is and bring her to me immediately. At the Imperial Palace, Edward strode hurriedly towards a particular destination. Upon arrival, he flung the door open, regardless of who was inside. Benjamin, who was working in his office, was startled by his sudden entrance and stood up. Your Highness. Edward went straight to the point. Is there any news from Ballet Castle? Benjamin was taken aback by his abrupt entrance and questioned. Edward asked impatiently. I asked if there's any news from Ballet Castle. Benjamin hesitated at first, unsure whether he should speak. Well, yes, there is news, Your Highness. Edward struggled to contain his anger. Why didn't you report it to me immediately? Benjamin's voice was anxious. I apologize. Actually, the information is somewhat conflicting. Now isn't the time for Your Highness to be concerned with such matters. Benjamin's withholding of the news from Ballet Castle infuriated Edward, and he slammed his hand on the table, shouting his name, Benjamin. Benjamin was shocked by Edward's intense reaction. Edward's voice turned cold. You should be grateful that I allow you by my side. But that doesn't mean you can make decisions for me without permission or try to control me. If something like this happens again, our relationship ends here. His expression darkened with every word. Benjamin whispered, Forgive me, Your Highness. He turned and left in frustration, but not before giving orders. Investigate what happened and find Eva immediately. Report any news regarding Eva, big or small. Benjamin watched him leave. Yes, Your Highness. Only after Edward had left and closed the door did Benjamin dare to breathe a sigh of relief. On the outskirts of Montana, a large number of carriages were stopped for some unknown reason. Not far away, a group of people were gathered. Rick, Eva, and Nana were sitting nearby, observing them. Rick suddenly spoke. Those are Portusa mercenaries. They're considered the strongest and most brutal on the continent. The men, known as the continent's most brutal mercenaries, were cheerfully laughing and clapping each other on the back. Eva asked doubtfully, Are they really Portusa mercenaries? He rested his chin on his hand and said casually, Don't judge them by their appearance. They may look like revelers, but when a fight starts, they become killers. This group alone is equivalent to a detachment of knights. Eva asked, surprised, "You mean there are more of them?" He estimated their numbers. They're currently separated, but if they were all together, there would be around 500. Like a nation's army. Portusa mercenaries are not to be underestimated. She asked with a serious expression, "But why do they do such dangerous work?" "They could die." He stated the reason plainly, because it pays well. They must be desperate enough to sell their lives, or perhaps they find killing enjoyable. It's strange, though. I don't see Hayden. Eva looked at him blankly and asked, "Who's Hayden?" He smiled and revealed the person's identity. The vice captain of the mercenaries. He's officially the vice captain, but his combat skills and strength are the best in the Empire. He's the person the mercenaries trust the most. He's never lost a battle he's been in. Even if they lose the war, he always wins his fights. And of course, he's never lost a one-on-one match. Recalling this, he suddenly remembered something else that irritated him. "There's one person who cost me a bet." Eva said in surprise, "So you placed a bet?" He continued, ignoring her expression. 3 years ago, in a horse race, he and a young knight were in the finals. I knew Hayden would win, so I bet on him. But it was a draw. They both hit each other's right shoulder with their lances and fell off their horses. Unsatisfied with the result, they secretly met and dueled with swords. I bet on a young knight that time and lost again. Money again, because both were stabbed in the chest and hip and fell. Just because of those two, my money is lost like blood. She sat next to me, forcing a smile, and said backslash, "That young knight is really skilled. He must be a famous person, right?" Backslash, because it was an assassination squad. No one knew the knight's identity. Backslash, of course, I know because I secretly peeked at him. Backslash, Eva, listening to him, curiously asked backslash, "So, who is that person?" Backslash, Eva suddenly asked that, and he just silently looked at her, as if he clearly understood that this person was related to her. Rick smiled gently and turned away backslash. "I won't tell you." Backslash, he was surprised to be refused by a backslash, Backslash, he spoke up to remind her backslash, "However, remember this, no matter what, avoid the man with wounds near his chest and hip. If you're unlucky, he might be that night." Backslash, Eva was momentarily stunned when he suddenly reminded her like that. At another neighborhood, all three were standing in front of a rather large house. Rick looked at the house in front of him and asked backslash, "Is this the right house?" Backslash, Eva stood next to him, looking at the paper and reading the address backslash, number 48, Everview Street. "This is the house." Backslash, Mrs. Margaret, please take your medicine regularly and take care of your health. Backslash, Nana, holding the luggage, said backslash, "Thank you, Rick." Backslash, Rick leaned down and whispered to Lily backslash, "Lily, you remember the promise, right?" Backslash, she smiled backslash, "Yes, Mr. Rick." Backslash, a few days ago, when she gave the bracelet to him, he took it and said her backslash, "I will keep this bracelet so you can come back for any time, and if anything happens, you must come to me." Backslash, she gratefully thanked him backslash, "Thank you very much, Mr. Rick." Backslash, he smiled and said backslash, "I wasn't bored either, so I was very happy. Once I finish my work, I'll come visit you. Take care, backslash." After saying that, he immediately got into the carriage, but before getting inside, he winked at both of them backslash, "Good luck to you too." Backslash, having said that, he also got into the carriage and the carriage started to move. After Rick's carriage drove away, the two of them proceeded to the house. She knocked on the door, waiting for someone to open it. Not long after, a man came to open the door backslash. "Who is it?" Backslash. Eva smiled and introduced herself backslash, "Hello. We came here on the recommendation of Father John. Is this Mrs. Ellen's house?" Backslash. The man calmly denied it backslash. "There's no one here by that name. The person you're looking for might be the previous owner, but they moved out a month ago." Backslash, hearing this, she was very surprised backslash. "They moved out already?" Backslash. She and Nana looked at each other worriedly, not knowing what to do. Seeing that, the man said helplessly backslash, "Wait a moment. They left an address before leaving." Backslash. He quickly handed her a piece of paper backslash. "This is the address. Try going there." Backslash. Eva took it backslash, "Thank you, sir. Number 124, Wellington Street." "Don't worry, Nana. We'll find her." Backslash. Nana stood beside her backslash. "I'm not worried about that, miss, but Wellington is near Hastings." Backslash. It was the first time she had heard of this place backslash. "Hastings?" Backslash. Nana sat down on the steps and said backslash, "Hastings, the place called the back alley, is the most dangerous place in Montana." Backslash. Hearing her say that, she became a little worried. Nana also noticed Eva's worry. She reached out and helped Nana up / even so, Nana, let's go there and see. We're not going to Hastings. We have to go to Wellington. / Nana said / all right, Mississippi. I should have acted like an adult, but I did something not very good. / She put her hand behind Nana's back / Don't worry too much, Nana. Everything will be all right. / Eva quickly looked for someone to ask for directions. She and Nana got back on the carriage to travel there, since it was quite a long distance. The carriage continued forward as the sky gradually darkened. Both of them wearily leaned against each other, waiting to arrive. They finally reached Wellington, but it was already dark. That we're almost there, Nana. Please try to hold on a little longer. Nana, walking behind her, replied, all right, Mississippi, don't worry about me. Let's hurry. Eva walked while looking up at the address. In a nearby alley, someone's shadow emerged. Seeing the person, Eva asked, excuse me, but could I ask for directions? I don't know. Before the person could finish speaking, they reached out towards Eva with a sinister expression. Nana, realizing the danger, shouted, Miss, run. Hearing Nana, Eva immediately stepped back. Then, she saw the person suddenly reach out, seemingly trying to grab her. So she immediately turned and ran towards Nana, making her escape. Curiously, she glanced back to see if the person was chasing her. But to her surprise, the person didn't chase her, but stood motionless as if in a daze. Seeing this, Eva and Nana quickly ran away, trying to quickly leave the street. But they hadn't run far when Nana suddenly stopped and fell to her knees. Seeing this, Eva rushed to her side and asked worriedly, Nana, are you all right? Nana replied with some difficulty, I'm fine. Hearing this, Eva became even more worried and called out, Nana. Nana slowly stood up and softly reassured her, I'm all right, Mississippi, don't worry. We need to hurry, let's go. Suddenly, they heard a noise from the street behind them. Eva quickly turned to look and asked, what was wrong with that person just now? Nana calmly replied, they were probably intoxicated. Burning dried hemlock leaves and inhaling the smoke, or inhaling mushroom powder called psilocybin, can cause altered mental states. Eva curiously asked, why would someone use that? Nana explained, it's originally used as medicine, but they say it improves one's mood. It's hard to understand. Eva didn't reply, silently looking down the street. Ahead, then, she thought to herself in disbelief, do people really live in a place like this? Suddenly, she saw a firelight coming from down the street. Nana speculated, it looks like someone's lighting a fire. Eva asked fearfully, Nana, what if it's another bad person? Should we go back? Seeing the firelight getting closer, Nana quickly suggested, we can't go back to that dangerous place. We have to go this way, Mississippi. Eva nodded. Okay. Then, she and Nana walked forward. They had only taken a few steps when they saw a group of people gathered around a fire. Suddenly, one of them exclaimed, oh my God, what luck is this? Startling Eva, who turned to look. The man in the yellow shirt slowly walked towards the two women, then asked with a sneer, what are you ladies doing here so late at night? Don't you know how dangerous it is to wander around Hastings? Eva wondered to herself, Hastings? Then she replied quietly, yes, we seem to be lost. Hearing this, the man grinned slyly and said, well then, come have a drink with us before you go. We're not bad guys. The other men immediately chimed in, yeah, come sit down. We'll take care of you all night long. That bad guy's funny. Miss, sit next to me. I'm much more useful than him in many ways. Eva quickly grabbed Nana's hand and politely declined. I'm sorry, but we have to go now. We have someone waiting for us. So, we'll be going now. Seeing that they were about to leave, the man raised his voice accusingly. Because you're pretty, I'll let you off the hook this time. Honestly, if you're uncomfortable, just say so. Why put up with it? If it were up to me, I would have already put you on the ground. Although she was terrified, Eva tried to remain calm and warned loudly, please let us go, or I'll scream. The man scoffed, I don't think you know, but this is Hastings. No one will come even if you scream. It happens every day here. Nana quickly stood in front of Eva and offered loudly, please let us go. We'll give you money. The man looked at Eva with greedy eyes, licking his lips as he continued, of course you'll give me money, but only after I get something else first. The other men urged impatiently, stop playing around and bring her over here. We want to have some fun too. Hearing this, the man held out his hand and exclaimed triumphantly, all right then. Seeing him about to grab Eva, Nana quickly grabbed his hand and bit it hard, causing him to pull his hand back in pain and yell angrily, you crazy bitch. Nana ignored him and urged frantically, run, miss. He angrily growled, run where? Then he quickly reached out and grabbed Eva's hair, making her face pale with fear and pain as she screamed, "Ah, let go." Seeing this, Nana cried out in alarm, "Miss." She quickly ran over and punched him repeatedly, yelling, "Let go, let go, get your hands off her." The man sighed in exasperation. What is this again? Without another word, he punched Nana directly in the chest, causing her to fall to the ground. Eva cried out in horror, "Ah, Nana." Seeing Nana now lying motionless on the ground, Eva was terrified and sobbed, "Nana, wake up. Someone help me. Please help me." The man quickly dragged Eva away and snapped, "Stay put if you don't want to die here." Just then, someone suddenly approached and asked loudly, "What are you doing?" The man turned around in surprise and asked, "Who are you?" The other man replied, "You don't need to know. I asked what you're doing." Eva, with tears in her eyes, pleaded, "Help me. Please help me. If you help me, I'll give you money." The man remained silent, but slowly stepped forward, then stopped in front of the two of them, then coldly ordered, "Let that girl go. Stop talking nonsense. Get out of here if you don't want her body to be discovered tomorrow morning." Eva was being threatened. Hayden frowned, his face devoid of emotion. "Let her go." This bastard. The angry man gritted his teeth and hurriedly threw her aside. Ugh. Now he was surrounded by 4 or 5 men. They were carrying daggers and charged towards him. Hayden wasn't afraid at all. He directly grabbed the man's wrist with his bare hands. His eyes were cold as he snapped it. Next was the second man, who directly threw a punch. He directly countered with a blow to the man's head. A stinging blow. Next came a swing from a baseball bat, which Hayden just managed to block. He directly tightened his grip around the neck of one of them, his cold gaze making the man break out in a cold sweat. Then Hayden coldly threw him into a corner somewhere. After defeating the underlings, the next thing was to deal with the leader, who was now trembling, his legs unsteady. In the next second, he ran away as fast as he could. Eva glanced at the man behind her. "Are you all right?" he asked her, turning his head coldly. Without a moment's delay, he hurried forward. Eva quickly called him back. "Please wait a moment." The vice captain's indifferent eyes glanced back at her. In Eva's arms was her unconscious nanny, Nana. She made a request. "Please help me. We're lost. I'll pay you for directions." He couldn't refuse, so he went closer to see what was wrong. "Step aside." Eva looked up at him in surprise. He lifted Nana into his arms and then turned his head to ask her 2 blunt words. "Address." Eva, as if thrown a lifeline, hadn't yet calmed down. "Oh yes, 124 Wellington Street." Then she picked up the 2 bags of luggage and followed Hayden to the address she had just given. Under the night sky, the moon was shining brightly. They finally arrived at a 2-story wooden house, brightly lit on the corner of the street. Eva went forward and knocked repeatedly. "Is anyone home?" Behind her was Hayden, helping her carry the unconscious Nana. Immediately afterward, a girl opened the door and looked outside with a questioning look. "Who is it?" Eva happily expressed. "I don't know. Are you Mrs. Riona?" "I came here on the recommendation of Pastor John." "My brother?" The girl opened the door wide in surprise. "Oh my God, come in quickly. Please lay her down here." "How did this happen?" Hayden was gently placing Nana on the bed. Eva honestly shared the story. "We got lost on our way here. I'm sorry to bother you so late." The girl shook her head and sighed. "Oh, I'll make you some hot tea. You should rest." Hayden glanced back one last time with a complicated look. Now, Eva finally calmed down. She turned and softly asked him, "Thank you. How much do I owe you?" Hayden bluntly replied, 20,000. She handed him the money. As Hayden turned to leave, Eva stopped him again. "Please wait a moment. What's your name?" Eva pondered for a moment before finally asking, "Because I'm so grateful to you, I was going to pray." "Here you go." He smiled back. "Hayden." He left immediately afterward, leaving Eva stunned and silent until he was gone. The next day, a meeting was held at the mansion. According to the investigation department's report, Miss Eva stabbed Todd Biddy with a knife and fled. The two were romantically involved, and after Biddy ignored her marriage proposal, Miss Eva, filled with resentment, committed the crime. Hearing Benjamin say this, Edward frowned. "Is it possible that you believe that's true?" He nodded frankly. "Of course, Your Majesty." He continued, "A warrant has been issued throughout Croxfield and Ingragon. The investigation department and Baron Biddy are desperately searching for her." He muttered a name, Ingragon. The Count nodded in response. "Yes, the chief priest of Croxfield Church said that Miss Eva fled to Ingragon." Benjamin pulled out a piece of paper. This is someone who had a relationship with the Count's family a long time ago, but the investigation hasn't made any further progress because he refuses to talk. Edward crossed his arms and thought, I suppose so. A priest can only be punished by ecclesiastical law, not imperial law. Benjamin brought another piece of information. But there's an interesting fact, Your Highness. I heard that the head of the Galahan family stayed in. Ingragon that night. He abruptly stood up. What? An image immediately flashed through his mind, shocking him to the core. My fiancée wasn't feeling well, so she fell asleep. He sighed anxiously. He immediately gave an order. Bring Rex Galahan here at once. Secretly, without the Empress seeing, Benjamin nodded in obedience. Yes, Your Highness. And keep an eye on him, he added. If he's in contact with Eva, we can arrest him immediately. Edward frowned angrily. That cunning man dared to hide Eva right in front of me. If your lies weren't well-intentioned, you'll definitely pay a heavy price. Morning in Ingragon, Eva slept soundly in bed. Suddenly, she woke up. Nana, are you all right? She stared at her, asking, When did you wake up? I woke up early this morning. Nana smiled back. It's almost lunchtime already. Eva teared up. Nana, my praiseworthy young lady. Nana comforted her. I'll be better now, so from now on, let's live here like mother and daughter. Eva happily nodded in agreement. Yes, Nana, we definitely will. There was a knock at the door. A girl peeked in. Everyone, please come out for a meal. Food was laid out on the table. Thank you, ma'am. Riona waved her hand dismissively. You're welcome. Please eat. My name is Joy. I work as a maid elsewhere, so I only come home every 2 or 3 days. So, you two can use my room for the time being. Nana nodded. Thank you. Are you working for a noble family? Yes, Joy replied cheerfully. I'm working at Duke Kensington's house. Hearing this, Eva was stunned. Duke Kensington, Nana said in surprise. Duke Kensington? You're working at the house of such a talented person. Joy smiled brightly. Yes. At this moment, Riona spoke up. Because our family's circumstances aren't very good, we sold our house and moved here. Even so, it's fortunate that the divine protected you too and led you here like this. Eva replied sadly. Yes, Nana said worriedly. Could we impose on you for a few days? We'll find a place to live and a job, and leave as soon as possible. Riona smiled brightly and replied, Oh, don't worry about that. Focus on getting better first. At that moment, Joy cheerfully spoke up. Lily, are you looking for work by any chance? There's going to be a big party held at the Duke's house, and they'll be hiring outside help. Eva stammered in surprise. Oh. Joy quickly continued. Marchioness Anita and Baroness Holland will be attending, so it seems all the noble ladies of the capital will be there too. Eva asked in surprise, Baroness Holland? Joy smiled and replied, Oh, that's right, you wouldn't know, would you? Marchioness Anita is the head lady-in-waiting for the royal family, and Baroness Holland is the deputy lady-in-waiting. Eva exclaimed in astonishment. Head lady-in-waiting? Joy said cheerfully, Yes, I heard that this time the royal family will be openly recruiting ladies-in-waiting. Originally, this position could only be obtained through connections, but Her Majesty the Queen has given all the young ladies of the Empire a chance to participate. The ones choosing the ladies-in-waiting are Marchioness Anita and Baroness Holland. She set down her plate and continued. Everyone will be trying their best to catch their eye. Eva looked at her, puzzled, and asked, Oh, but is the position of a lady-in-waiting really that good? Joy's eyes lit up as she replied, Of course. It's not a position just anyone can get. If you become a lady-in-waiting, you can not only get close to the royal family, but also to other prestigious families, and you might even get married. Hearing this, Eva let out a strange sound of understanding. Joy looked at her and asked, So what do you think? You can observe and work at the same time. Are you interested? Eva was about to decline. No, when Joy interjected, I hear they pay 30 gon a day. Eva asked in surprise, 30 gon? She thought to herself, that much. At that moment, Nana, sitting beside her, spoke up, Excuse me, but our Lily is very weak and can't do that kind of work. Suddenly, Eva spoke up, I'll do it. Nana angrily called out her name, Lily. Ignoring Nana's protests, Eva resolved to herself, now is not the time for pride. We need a place to stay, food, and money for Nana's medical expenses. In the bedroom, Nana sobbed, a lady-in-waiting? My lady working as a lady-in-waiting? Then she berated herself. It's my fault. It's all my fault. If I hadn't hit Todd on the head, Eva gently soothed her. Nana, there's no shame in doing honest work and earning money. Pausing for a moment, she continued, I have to work anyway. Whether I'm a lady-in-waiting or doing something else, working under someone is all the same. Nana sobbed, It's not the same. If it were some other job, I wouldn't be this heartbroken. My lady will feel like she's lost her place in the world she once belonged to, and she'll have to work with a wounded heart. Nana cried harder. My lady will have to serve food and take care of other young ladies. Eva comforted her. We have to accept it, Nana. We've decided to live a different life now. I'll never forget that I'm a noble, and I'll always follow what you've taught me. Whether I become a lady-in-waiting or anything else, I'll still be Macy. I'll never change. Nana hugged her tightly and said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my lady. I can't seem to act like an adult." She thought to herself, when did that little child grow up so much? I'm so proud, my lady. She lifted Eva's face and smiled, continuing, "Before the water gets cold, you should go take a bath. The crows will call you to be friends with them, otherwise." Eva obediently replied, "Yes, Nana," as soon as she left. Nana quickly went to the cupboard and took out a bottle of medicine. She hurriedly took it, then quickly took deep breaths. Nana fearfully thought to herself, it's getting harder and harder to breathe. Even after taking the medicine, the pain isn't subsiding. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. It was Riona. "Margaret, have some cake." Nana approached her anxiously, saying, "Lady Riona, I've been so impolite, having just met you. Please keep this a secret from my daughter, but could you take me to the hospital for a moment?" Riona asked in surprise. "The hospital?" Nana anxiously replied. "Yes, I can't get sick. If I get sick, then my daughter," she thought to herself. "I can't leave my daughter, Eva, alone." Meanwhile, in Rex's office, he stretched tiredly and said, "Oh, I'm so bored." Looking out the window, he thought to himself, nothing interesting is happening. Opening his desk drawer, he picked up a bracelet with a blue gem and softly said, "She must have arrived safely, right?" He thought to himself, "Eva." He recalled her anxiously saying to him, "I will do everything I'm assigned to do, as you wish." He mused, unlike her petite and innocent appearance, she's very strong. Then, when she cheerfully said, "Suspicion is necessary, but I think trust is also very important. I trust you, Rex." He felt that she was very good at comforting others, even when her own circumstances weren't good at all. And he remembered her trembling with fear when she heard, "Lily, we have to go down. There's no other way," he silently assessed, and she trembled like a bird caught in the rain. Rex looked at the bracelet with amusement and said, "She really makes one take notice." Suddenly, there was a knock at the door, and he quickly said, "Come in." His subordinate entered and announced, someone is here saying they want to see the boss." Rex asked who. The man quickly replied, "I don't know. They just said they're from the royal family." Shaking the bracelet in a circular motion, he exclaimed to himself, "Oh my." Rex chuckled and said, "Our crown prince has already taken notice, hasn't he?" Then he quickly left, walking down the hallway, looking at the surroundings and thinking to himself, unnecessarily luxurious. So that's the crown prince's room. When Rex stepped inside, Edward was already waiting. He greeted Rex first. "You're here," Rex thought to himself. The feeling of being overwhelmed is no joke. On the surface, he still smiled brightly and bowed, replying, "It's an honor to see you again, Your Highness." Edward said, "Sit down." When they were both seated, Edward continued, "It's been a while. How are you?" Rex politely replied, "Well, Your Highness." Edward continued, "And your fiancée as well?" Hearing this, Rex gave a wry smile and replied, "Perhaps." Edward looked at him and asked with a smile, "Perhaps?" Rex replied sadly, "We've broken up, Your Highness." Edward asked, confused, "You mean you broke up with your pregnant fiancée?" Rex calmly replied, "Things in this world don't always go as planned." Edward looked at him calmly and said, "That won't do. That's what I mean. Since when were you engaged to my former fiancée, and she's pregnant, too?" Seeing Rex's sharp question, Edward was a little flustered. Rex frowned uncomfortably, thinking to himself, "My fiancée? He must mean his ex-fiancée." Facing Edward's stare, he continued to think. He didn't misspeak. He meant it, didn't he? After a moment, Rex calmly spoke, "I don't know what you're talking about, Your Highness. As far as I know, Your Highness is currently single. Why are you referring to a fiancé?" He fumed silently, thinking, if it's not right, I have to address it immediately. Eva is no longer his fiancée. Seeing him like this, Edward chuckled, saying, "It's just force of habit. Wasn't it a special bond that lasted 20 years? It slipped out. What, are you annoyed?" Hearing this, Rex felt uncomfortable. It seemed like Edward wanted to emphasize that it was a special relationship. But did Eva think so? Outwardly, he still submissively bowed, replying, "How could that be, Your Highness?" Edward chuckled softly. "That's good. The reason I called you here is because I have something to ask. Before that, I have something I want to confirm. He paused for a moment and continued, "Why did you lie to me?" Rex knew the truth was out, so he slowly explained, "Lily, no. Miss Eva seemed to not want to see your highness, so I took pity on her and just wanted to help a little." Edward asked in surprise. "She didn't want to see me?" He thought angrily and bewildered. Why? She should have run here and asked for my help. Why? For what reason would she avoid me in the carriage? He stared at Rex, unable to believe his suspicion. Could it be she trusts this man more than me? Dismissing the thought, Edward quickly asked, "Where's Eva now? How did you meet her?" Rex gave a wry smile and answered softly, "Forgive me, your highness. I only helped 2 women into the carriage without knowing anything more. Afterward, I learned who they were, but I didn't ask anything further." Edward said in disbelief, "No, you know everything, and you will tell me the whole truth in front of me." Rex replied helplessly, "The truth I know and the truth your highness knows seem to be different." Edward said coldly, "I believe in loose lips and will put our collaboration on hold. This isn't a private matter, but a public investigation. Depending on your answer, I can add charges of perjury and insulting the crown prince." Rex frowned and gave a sarcastic smile. "That's a bit unfair, your highness. Since I've never insulted your highness, I can't be charged with insulting you. As for perjury, there must be a basis related to some incident. But to accuse me just because you're not satisfied with my answer is truly unfair." Edward simply replied indifferently, "Forgive me. I should have mentioned beforehand that you're already involved in the incident. My former fiancé stabbed someone and ran away. You seem to be hiding the perpetrator of the incident." Rex exclaimed in disbelief, "What? That's impossible." Edward agreed. "Indeed, Eva isn't that kind of girl, so I have to find her. Where is she?" "My fiancée." Rex quickly replied, "I don't know, your highness. I let her off by the roadside and said goodbye." He thought to himself, "I know his highness is trying to help her, but what are her intentions?" Edward looked at him coldly and said, "Can I trust your words?" After a moment of silence, Edward accepted the truth that I understand. "If there's any news, you must inform me." Seeing him leave, Rex revealed a flash of joy and quickly bowed. "I apologize for not being able to provide the information you wanted. I'll take my leave now." Reaching the door, he suddenly turned back and asked, "Your highness, may I ask you something?" "Lily, no. Is the person Miss Eva stabbed dead?" Edward calmly smiled and replied, "Not yet. He's not dead yet. However, he will die soon. I will kill him." Rex looked at him incredulously without saying a word. After he left, Edward quickly ordered his subordinate standing behind him, "Follow him. Don't lose him." The man receiving the order replied, "Understood, your highness." As soon as he left, Rex immediately got into carriage. He went to the library and stopped, entering inside. From inside, looking through the window, he saw a suspicious carriage, knowing that someone was following him. Rex spoke indifferently. As expected, "No wonder he let me go so easily." Then he left through the back door, saying to his subordinate, "Handle it well. I'm leaving." Scene change. In another town, Rex was trying to question a man. "You say Lily isn't here? What about a woman named Eva?" The man, uncooperative, gruffly replied, "I don't know. I said there's no woman here named Lily or Eva." Those women who came looking for the previous homeowner also held a piece of paper with an address and left right away. Rex urgently asked, "That address, where is it?" The man, being questioned continuously, angrily shouted, "How would I know? I can't read." Seeing this, Rex quickly took out a gold coin and held it in front of the man. He smiled gently and said, "Think carefully. Even if you can't read, you can still hear, can't you?" After a moment, the man tried to recall and replied, "Right? Leona. They said they were looking for Lady Leona in Wellington. I clearly heard them say something about Wellington." Having obtained the information he needed, Rex quickly turned cold, threw the gold coin on the ground, and left. Ignoring this, the man happily picked it up, put it to his mouth, and bit it, joyfully saying, "A gold coin. What luck!" Suddenly, at this moment, someone kicked the door open. It was none other than Edward. The man, who had been joyful, now trembled in fear before him. Looking down from above, he spoke coldly, "I apologize for startling you. Just answer me one question, and I'll leave immediately." The man trembled and replied, "Yes, yes, please ask." Edward said indifferently, "It's nothing special. Just tell me what you said to the man who just left here, and don't leave anything out." Remembering a time before, Eva had come to inquire, "Uncle, are there any vacant houses today?" The man sighed and replied, "You'll just say it's not to your liking, you know. It's impossible to find a better house for that price these days, girl." Eva said sadly, "I'm sorry, Uncle. I'm not being picky this time. I'll take a look." The man turned away and replied, "Anyway, there aren't any now. If that's the case, try looking around Hastings Street." Suddenly, a man appeared behind Eva. He spoke softly, "My house is for rent." Startled, she turned around to look. Realizing Hayden had calmed down, he continued, "If you need to, you can come by and take a look." Waiting until he finished, she asked, "Mr. Hayden?" Hayden looked seriously at Eva. After a moment, she asked excitedly, "Really? Where's your house?" Hayden quickly replied, "Across the street, just behind the house with the walnut tree." Eva remembered and replied, "Ah, that place." She thought to herself, "I really like it, but the house looks so nice, I wouldn't dare ask the price." Hayden told her, "Follow me." As the two were walking down the street, suddenly a carriage came speeding from behind. Hayden quickly pulled her into his arms, waiting until the carriage had passed before softly saying, "That was dangerous. Let's go inside." Eva, surprised, stammered, "Thank you." Looking at him from behind, Eva thought to herself, "He's a bit curt, but he seems like a good person." Arriving at the house, she exclaimed in surprise, "This house is huge." Stepping inside, Eva curiously asked, "Do you live alone in such a big house? No other family?" Hayden leaned against the door, looking at her, and replied, "No." Eva asked, surprised, "So you live alone?" Hayden slowly recounted, "I had a mother and a younger sister, but they're gone now." Eva, understanding, let out a soft "oh." Hayden quickly continued, "It's all right. If you're not comfortable, you can go back to your old place." Eva looked at him, smiling brightly, and replied, "Not comfortable? I can feel how much your mother and sister love this house. It's truly beautiful." Then, going upstairs, she asked, "How many rooms are there?" He followed her, replying, "4 rooms. 2 on the first floor, 2 upstairs. There's a storage room in the basement and an attic upstairs as well. Go on up and take a look." After touring the house, Eva thought to herself, "I really like it, but it must be expensive, right?" Then she turned and asked, "How much is the rent?" He quickly answered, 30 gon a month. To clarify, 30 gon is equivalent to 300,000 won in Korean currency. Hearing this, Eva asked incredulously, 30 gon? Not 130 gon. She thought to herself, "That's too cheap." Hayden looked at her seriously and said, "There is one condition. I will also be living in this house." Cut to the bedroom. Nana protested in disbelief. "Don't say such ridiculous things. How can we live in the same house with that dark-skinned man? What if he sneaks into our room at night?" Eva reassured her, "I know, Nana, but can't we just try it? Mr. Hayden doesn't seem like a bad person. If he were, he wouldn't have saved us that day." Looking at her bright eyes, Nana seriously asked, "Do you like that house that much?" Eva happily replied, "I love it, but if you say you don't like it, I won't go. So, let's just take a look, okay?" The two quickly traveled to Hayden's house. Eva led Nana on a tour of the entire house. During their discussion, Nana looked seriously at him and said, "Mr. Hayden, if you scold us just because you're the landlord, it will be very awkward." Hayden quickly replied, "I won't do that." She continued, "You mustn't bring friends home." He replied, "I don't have any friends." Then she added, "No casually undressing in the house, especially in front of my daughter." He agreed without protest, of course. Seeing the situation becoming a little awkward, Eva anxiously called out, "Nana." Nana turned to her, smiling, and said, "You take the room with the balcony." She happily hugged her mother and replied with a bright smile, "Yes, mother." Eva thought to herself, "Finally, we have a place to settle down." Seeing this, Hayden smiled happily as well. The next morning, Eva stood at the door and said, "I'll be back, mother." Nana gently stroked her face and said worriedly, "Be careful. If it's too hard, come home right away." Eva smiled and replied, "Yes, mother. Don't worry about me. Take care of your health. Absolutely don't go outside to enjoy the breeze and catch a cold." She looked at her mother and said with a smile, "It's a good thing we moved quickly. If Hayden comes back, we definitely have to have a meal together." Nana smiled and replied, "All right, don't worry about me. Hurry along now." Nana stood before the closed door. Her eyes darkened, and her heart became filled with worry. She sat on a chair coughing. Then, struggling to breathe, she clutched her chest in discomfort and said, "Why haven't I seen any improvement even after going to the hospital?" Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Nana quickly went to open it and asked, "Who is it?" Nana was extremely surprised when she saw the person's face. Scene change at the castle. Lily seemed to be waiting for someone. Joy happily ran over, waving and saying, "Sister Lily, you made it here without getting lost." Eva asked worriedly, "Is it still not too late?" Joy quickly replied, "No, you're right on time. Come on in." After changing clothes, everyone began to work. Eva was assigned to the kitchen. Outside was the venue for the party, with many nobles from various places. As Eva was washing dishes, someone spoke up, "Hey, take this to the central drawing room." Eva asked in surprise, "Me? I heard that outside hired help aren't allowed in the banquet hall." Hearing this, he angrily snapped, "Can't you see I'm busy? If this is late, those people will be furious. Just take it in." As Eva pushed the tea cart inside, she saw two women sitting and chatting. She announced, "Excuse me, I'm bringing in the tea." Eva placed the tea on the table and was about to leave. One of the two women spoke up in annoyance. "Where are you going? You have to pour the tea first." Eva was startled and replied, "Oh, I'm sorry." Then she quickly returned to pour the tea. The woman continued, "It can't be helped that the head maid isn't here. There's no way to interview the maid candidates for the time being. Relax, Olivia." Hearing this name, Eva turned in surprise, thinking to herself, "Olivia." The woman named Olivia replied with a slight smile, "It's not that, Priscilla." The other woman, Priscilla, asked, "Then what is it? Is it because His Highness the Crown Prince isn't attending?" Hearing this, Eva trembled in fear. Seeing her hand holding the teapot trembling uncontrollably, Priscilla frowned and asked, "What's wrong with you?" Olivia also looked up and said, "I've never seen her before." "Who is she?" Eva lowered her head and stammered, I am." Suddenly, someone came from the doorway and announced, "Olivia, His Highness the Crown Prince has arrived." At this moment, Eva felt like she had fallen into an icy abyss, thinking to herself, "What?" Olivia stood up in surprise and asked, "His Highness." Then she turned to look at Eva, who was still trembling beside her, and said gently, "It seems you're hired help from outside. Don't be so nervous and go back to work." After saying this, she and Priscilla left together. Eva immediately ran and hid in a corner. She thought to herself, "I shouldn't have come here in the first place. I knew this place was connected to him, yet I was blinded by the money. No, don't waver." A moment later, she regained her resolve and said, "He's already out of my life. Why should I care? There's no reason for us to meet again." Eva stood up, thinking to herself, "It's okay. If I don't go out to the banquet hall, I won't catch his eye." Suddenly, someone ran up to her. Joy said, "So you're here? Go to the storage room and get some coal." On her way to get the coal, she accidentally tripped and fell. Eva cried out in pain, and the coal scuttle in her hands tipped over, spilling coal everywhere. It rolled to someone's feet. Looking up, Eva was startled to recognize Edward, but he seemed not to know her and walked past coldly. Eva trembled in fear. She thought, "I'd rather disappear." Then she quickly picked up the scattered coal and put it back in the scuttle. At that moment, a deep, warm voice came from above. "Because I was afraid of this. Afraid it would be like this. I've been searching for you like mad." Edward looked directly into her eyes and asked coldly, "Why are you avoiding me? Do you not trust me that much?" Eva was so surprised she couldn't speak. She thought to herself, "No, Your Highness, the reason I'm avoiding you is because of you. You told Olivia that our relationship was over long ago, so I was heartbroken. And another reason is that, oh," Eva trembled and cried, I killed someone. I'm a murderer." She burst into tears and despair. Seeing her like this, Edward quickly lifted her face and comforted her. "No, Eva, who didn't kill him. Todd Biddy, that bastard, is still alive. So, Eva, you can live freely now." While she was still stunned, he quickly embraced her. A moment later, he looked at her seriously and said, "Come with me. Come with me. Leave this place." Eva gasped, "Your Highness," then shook her head in refusal. "I can't go right now." Edward urgently grasped her arm and asked why. Eva calmly explained with a determined look, "If I leave now, the person who recommended me will be in a difficult position and won't receive the payment for their hard work today." Hearing this, Edward sighed. Eva continued, "I'm sorry, Your Highness. Thank you for your concern and for telling me this. I won't forget this kindness. I'll be careful not to be noticed while I work, and I won't do anything like that again. So please let me go, Your Highness." Pulling away from his embrace, Eva stepped back and bowed her head that I'll excuse myself now. Watching her leave, he clenched his fist and thought, just because she told me to let her go doesn't mean I'll completely let her leave. I won't lose her again. Back at the party, seeing him return, Olivia quickly approached and asked anxiously, "Your Highness, where have you been?" Stopping in front of him, she continued, "Since you're here, would you like to offer some congratulations?" Edward replied indifferently, "Yes." Looking at the servants moving around in front of him, he thought, "Where is she?" Olivia stood beside him, looking at him worriedly. "Your Highness, what's wrong?" Edward quickly replied, "It's nothing. Let's go." Taking her arm and leading her inside, he thought to himself, Eva, what if she runs away to avoid me? He recalled what Eva had said earlier. If I disappear now, the person who recommended me will be in a difficult position. Oh no, she's a very responsible person, so she probably wouldn't leave her work halfway through and disappear. If I wait, I can meet her, right? But when? What if I miss her again? Seeing him standing still in one place, Olivia gently called, "Your Highness." Edward turned to look at her and said, "Olivia, I have something urgent to attend to, so I must go." Olivia looked at him, confused. "Yes, but you just arrived a short while ago." Edward didn't reply, but quickly walked out. Olivia lagged behind, trying to call him back. "Your Highness." The only thought in his mind now was, even if I miss her, I will search for her, but right now I don't want to lose that girl. After finishing her work, Eva quickly took off her uniform and hurried to leave. Looking back at the banquet hall, she thought to herself, he's probably still with Lady Olivia in there. Huh. After a moment, she turned and walked away. When she reached the gate, she was surprised to see a carriage parked by the side of the road. At the same time, the door opened from the inside. Edward stepped out of the carriage and looked at her. Eva recognized him in surprise. "Your Highness." Edward extended his hand and gently said, "Come on, I'll take you home." Eva awkwardly declined. "There's no need. There's a carriage stop just a little further down the road." Edward smiled softly and said, "Why bother when I'm here? Come on, I'll take you all the way home safely." Seeing him persistently holding out his hand, Eva finally relented and got into the carriage. The carriage started moving. Inside the carriage, there was silence. She looked up and saw him looking at her with loving eyes. Eva shyly looked away and said, Why are you looking at me like that? Your Highness." Edward chuckled softly and replied, "Because I'm wondering if this is a dream. Regardless of what happened, it's so good that we can be together like this now." Hearing this, Eva's face quickly flushed. She avoided his gaze and turned away. Seeing this, Edward became even more amused, thinking to himself, "She looks beautiful even when she's avoiding my gaze. Her shy glances are also cute." Then, unable to contain his curiosity, he boldly asked a question. Suddenly remembering something, his eyes darkened. He thought to himself, that damned Reg Galahan must have seen this side of Eva too, hasn't he? Edward broke the silence. "What is your relationship with Reg Galahan?" Eva asked back, confused. Edward, angry but still forcing a smile, said, "I heard you're his fiancé?" "A pregnant fiancé at that." Eva panicked and denied it. "No, that was just something Lord Reg said to help me. Lord Reg is really kind. He knew my circumstances and wanted to help." Edward coldly asked, "Kind?" Eva looked at him, confused, and let out a small sound. She thought to herself, he lied in front of his Highness, all to help me. I have to clear up this misunderstanding so that Lord Reg doesn't get hurt. Thinking of this, she smiled brightly and said, "Yes, he's kind. Although a bit strange. When I was in trouble, he helped me, and..." Edward glared at her silently, thinking, if I could, I'd wring the neck of that fake, nice guy who's taken root in this girl's mind. But someone who's been framed as friendly, caring, and kind, if I'm mistaken for someone petty, uncaring, and unfriendly, it won't do. Thinking this, he looked at her, smiled, and said, "I see, Eva. I understand." Seeing him like this, Eva smiled back and replied, "Yes." Then Edward quickly changed the subject. "Eva, how is the house you're living in?" Eva asked back in surprise, "Have you been to my house?" "I heard it's the house of a man living alone. Don't you think that situation is very dangerous?" Eva quickly replied, "Mr. Hayden isn't like that." "Hayden?" Edward asked, astonished. "Could it be someone else? Someone from mercenary group, pursuing killing. Has no reason to be in Wellington. But if it really is him, even if I have to destroy that house, I'll take you away." At this moment, Eva suddenly asked, "I also have something I want to ask. Your Highness, how did you know I work at the Duke's mansion?" He calmly said, "You'll find out soon enough." Eva continued, "How long have you been waiting for me? Why did you insist on waiting?" He suddenly called her name, Eva. She quickly replied, "Yes, Your Highness." Edward leaned closer, meeting her eyes, and said seriously, "I apologize for not being there when you were in trouble. I won't let that happen again. If you need help, it would be great if you could come to me." Eva said awkwardly, "Why? Why would Your Highness help me?" At that time, she didn't say everything she was thinking, keeping it to herself. You left me and walked away, saying you couldn't confess to a lie, then coldly turned your back. Why are you saying this now? At this moment, Edward bowed his head, admitting his fault. At the time, I thought letting you go was the right thing to do, and it was the first time I'd felt that way, so I was a bit foolish. I thought I could quickly forget you, but it turns out I couldn't. The more time passed, the clearer your image became in my mind. mind, shaking me. In the end, I couldn't give you up. Hearing this, Eva clutched her skirt, her brow furrowed as she spoke with difficulty. But your highness and Miss Kensington. Seeing her hesitate, he stepped closer and quickly explained. Miss Kensington? Do you mean Olivia? Olivia is just a childhood friend. Then he placed his hand on his chest and said seriously, the one I've given my heart to is only you. Before her surprised and touched gaze, he continued, so now the choice depends on you. Eva asked, confused choice. Edward looked at her intently and replied, will you give me another chance, or will you kick me to the curb? Eva called out in surprise, Your Highness. Edward cut her off. Don't answer right now. Think about it a little more. Even though I say that, don't take too long, because I'll be leaving for the battlefield soon. Eva asked in surprise, You're leaving? Edward replied, in less than 5 days. During that time, I'll try my best to be chosen by you. His words made her heart race as she stared at him intently. The carriage stopped in front of the door, and Edward helped her down. Then he looked at her and smiled gently. You must be tired. Go inside and rest. Eva replied cheerfully, Be careful. Before she entered the door, she couldn't help but turn back and smile at him. After she went inside, Edward frowned, thinking to himself, is it Hayden? I must send someone to follow him and that other guy. How can I eliminate all those men around Eva before I leave? Then he quickly drove his carriage away. From behind, Rick emerged from the shadows, frustrated. Damn it, I'm late. This is so annoying. Recalling the image of the two holding hands, Rick grew even more irritated, sighing. Why do I feel like shit? Looking up at her window, he smiled softly and whispered, Live well, Eva. Ah, no, Lily. Then he walked away, thinking to himself, I'll be back. When Eva went inside, she was quite surprised to see Hayden. That you're still awake, Hayden? What about dinner? He turned to her and calmly replied, I've already eaten. Seeing there was nothing else, she said, Well then, I'll go upstairs. You should rest. Suddenly, he called her back. Lily, your mother cried a lot today. Eva asked in surprise, My mother. Then she called out in alarm, Mother. Sitting in her bedroom, Nana was delighted to see her returned at your back. Eva asked anxiously, What's wrong, Mother? Her eyes filled with tears, but Nana still managed to smile. What could be wrong with me? What about you? Did something happen? Letting her mother stroke her head, she said slowly, Did you tell His Highness about me? Nana didn't deny it. Yes. Eva asked, puzzled why. You didn't want me to see His Highness. Hearing this, Nana simply replied, The situation is different now. Then she covered her mouth with her hand, sobbing as she continued, I'm sorry, Eva. It's my fault that all this suffering has happened. It's because I spoke well of Todd. He's dead. Eva quickly comforted her. Mother, don't say that. How is it your fault? It's all right now, Mother. Everything's okay. Hugging her tightly, she continued, Let's just think about good things and live freely now. Nana sobbed, All right, let's live like that, Eva. Night came. After bathing, Eva sat in front of the mirror, brushing her hair. She recalled Edward's words, The one I've given my heart to is only you. Her face flushed. She wrapped a towel around herself and went out onto the balcony to get some air. She was surprised to look down and see Edward smiling up at her. Eva thought to herself in surprise, His Highness. Hayden's passed. When I was 16, I prepared a house with walnut trees, and my mother was very happy. At that time, my mother and my younger sister were very surprised and asked, Hayden, is this really our house? That house was earned by selling myself to the mercenary group. The reason I gritted my teeth and endured the hellish life of a mercenary was all for my beloved mother and sister. When he turned 21, his mother begged him to leave the mercenary group. His mother and sister cried and pleaded with him, Hayden, please stop that work. We have a good life now. Hayden didn't listen, only coldly saying, No, Mother, it's not enough yet. But after that, I moved to the most dangerous place in the empire and worked hard to earn money, risking my life so that my mother and sister could live happily in that house. Then, one day, I received news that my mother and sister had died. They were watching a festival when they carelessly failed to avoid an oncoming carriage and had an accident. My mother and my younger sister, Zoina, weren't taken to a hospital and passed away. When I returned to the house, it was incredibly empty. After I left with the futile reason of wanting to maintain such a life. Every morning, I woke up in this cold house, as if it were a habit. I opened my eyes at dawn and closed them when night fell. I kept thinking that from the moment my purpose in life disappeared, I would also vanish. Suddenly, someone called my name, Hayden. I opened my eyes, and it turned out it was just a dream. Seeing him not answer, Eva peeked her head in and said with a smile, Hayden, breakfast is ready. When she got a clearer look, she saw his bare chest, revealing toned muscles and a long scar. Hayden quickly pulled the blanket up to cover himself. Eva, embarrassed, said, "I'm sorry. Please come out for breakfast." Then she quickly closed the door and left. As he walked to the dining table, he thought to himself in surprise, a completely different daily life, not just being alone. Although a bit awkward, it's not bad at all. As he sat down at the breakfast table, Eva sat opposite him and asked with a smile, "How does it taste?" Hayden smiled gently and politely replied, "It's delicious." He thought to himself, "Because I can feel the warmth that my mother and sister once gave me again." Seeing him smile, Eva exclaimed in surprised delight, "You're smiling today? You should smile more often. You look even more handsome when you smile." Hearing this, he smiled softly and replied, "Yes, you're very beautiful too." After a few moments of stunned silence, Eva quickly said, "Thank you, Hayden." As she walked to the gate, preparing to leave for work, she was surprised to see Edward stop his carriage in front of her. He smiled brightly, extended his hand, and invited her into the carriage, saying, "Get in. I'll take you." Seeing this, Eva smiled happily, her heart beginning to flutter. After getting into the carriage, she softly asked, "What's the matter?" "It's so early in the morning." Edward calmly replied, "I said I would try, didn't I? I have to show you, even just a little, to earn some more points." Eva shyly looked away and said, "I didn't say that doing this would make my heart waver." Edward laughed and replied, "That's why I plan to do this until your heart is moved. I'm very good at waiting." Then he kindly asked, "Did you sleep well?" Eva blushed and replied, "Yes." Hearing this, Edward chuckled and said, "I couldn't sleep because I was afraid you would run away and also because I missed you." Eva was taken aback by this statement. Seeing her like this, Edward, even more amused, moved closer and continued, "Your hair looks beautiful tied up. You had it down last night, didn't you?" Eva stammered because it's daytime now. Edward laughed and said, "So you only let your hair down at night? It's so beautiful. It would be wonderful to see it every day, including in the evening, of course." The more he spoke, the more Eva blushed and avoided his gaze. Suddenly, the wheel hit a rock, causing the carriage to lurch and their legs to touch. Making Eva jump, she shyly turned away, hiding her flushed face. Seeing her like this, Edward, amused, moved to sit beside her. Eva exclaimed in surprise, "Your Highness." He didn't answer, but instead smiled and asked, "Why do you keep avoiding me? Are you afraid I'll eat you up? You know, when you're stuck in a war, you can't just run away to another place." As he spoke, he placed his hand against her chest, continuing, "If you disobey orders, you'll be eliminated, eaten by the enemy." Facing his playful gaze, Eva shyly said, "So, are you going to eat me now?" Edward sighed in mock exasperation and said, "I can't tease you anymore now." Edward moved closer to Eva and asked, "May I have a good morning kiss?" Eva asked, confused what. Edward kissed her hand, then gently moved to her cheek. He said, "When I said I could wait, I was lying." Eva asked again, "What do you mean?" Edward lifted her face and said, "Actually, I'm in a hurry, Eva." He then drew the carriage curtains closed. As their lips drew close, Eva's reason reminded her, no. But when he gave her a sweet kiss, she couldn't help but lose herself in it. She clutched his coat, feeling the warmth of his embrace. After a moment, Edward urgently placed her hands on his shoulders and said, "Hold me, Eva." And they were once again lost in the sweetness of the kiss. When Eva paused to catch her breath, she thought to herself in disbelief, "What is going on?" Then, suddenly, Edward lifted her up, placing her on his lap. Eva gasped, "Ah, Your Highness." She looked at him in surprise. Edward looked at her tenderly and said, "Since this is our first kiss, we should be a little more comfortable." Then they shared more romantic kisses. Eva, seemingly losing all reason, thought, "Oh my goodness, I don't even know anymore." The carriage stopped in front of the castle gates. Eva quickly got out of the carriage. Watching it drive away, her face was still flushed. She recalled the moment when Edward, in his deep, warm voice, asked her, "Can I hear your answer now?" She had still refused, replying, "Not yet," remembering the sweet kiss. Eva couldn't help but blush. Opening the door to her office, Joy cheerfully called out Lily. She approached and asked, "Was it very windy outside?" Eva, confused, replied, "No, why?" Joy, puzzled, said, "Your hair is all messed up, and your face is so red, and your lips are swollen." Blushing, Eva covered her mouth and quickly opened the door to leave, saying, I'm going to change my clothes and be right back. She left Joy standing there, still confused about what had happened. Meanwhile, Edward's majestic carriage moved smoothly down the road. Inside, Benjamin said to Edward, the breakfast meeting with our representatives tomorrow, no matter how busy your schedule is, you must attend. I heard that Cardinal Nicola will be staying at the Holy See for a few more days, and the day after tomorrow, there's a dinner hosted by Her Majesty the Empress. Seeing that Edward wasn't paying attention, he anxiously asked, Your Highness, are you listening to the information and schedule I'm reporting? Edward smiled slightly and replied, I'm listening. Tomorrow is the breakfast meeting, the Cardinal is at the Holy See, and the day after tomorrow is the dinner with the Empress. Seeing him like this, Benjamin sighed helplessly and asked, Did something good happen? Edward turned his head, looked at him, and smiled, saying, Benjamin, Eva is really beautiful, isn't she? Benjamin thought for a moment, and then honestly replied, Of course, her face is quite pretty, though not exceptionally so. Edward's face darkened as he looked at him coldly and asked, What? Not exceptionally so? Your joke is a bit much. He paused for a moment and continued, If that face isn't beautiful, then whose is? She's the most beautiful woman in the world. Benjamin looked at him helplessly and asked, Have you made up your mind? Has Miss Macy responded yet? Edward smiled and replied, Of course, and very enthusiastically too. Seeing this, Benjamin said, I have a favor to ask of you, Your Highness. Edward replied indifferently, Speak. Benjamin thought for a moment, then said, The Duke of Kensington's proposal today. Your Highness shouldn't refuse outright. The idea is to buy time so the Duke doesn't change his mind before Your Highness leaves the military. So please, say you'll consider it. Edward raised a hand to cover his mouth, lost in thought. Upon returning to the palace, inside a room, he sat conversing with the Duke of Kensington. The Duke politely inquired, I heard you left the party yesterday, immediately after arriving, so I was worried. Did something happen? Edward replied, My apologies. I had an urgent matter to attend to, and I was rude to leave so abruptly. Kensington said, with a hint of displeasure, I'm fine, but my Olivia seemed rather upset. Edward smiled and said, In that case, I was planning to see Olivia today to apologize. Hearing this, the Duke finally smiled and continued, Then I suppose I should quickly get to the main point and let the two of you be. Pausing for a moment, he said, Please, Your Highness, make Olivia the crown princess. If you do, I will do everything in my power to support you. Edward was taken aback. After a moment of silence, he said, That's rather sudden, Duke. This is a proposal I haven't even considered. The Duke looked at him incredulously and said, What? But Your Highness has also already. Before he could finish, Edward quickly cut him off with a laugh. Me? It seems you've misunderstood something, Duke Kensington. Seeing his attitude, the Duke turned angrily to look at Benjamin, but Edward, paying him no mind, continued, Did Olivia say something? The Duke turned back to him and replied seriously, She said she would follow Your Highness's wishes. You don't like my daughter? As far as I know, Your Highness and my daughter have a rather close relationship. Edward smiled and said, How could I not like her? However, I've never thought of her in that way. With Olivia. Hearing this, the Duke laughed loudly and said, I understand. I'm not asking for an immediate answer, so please consider it. I will wait until Your Highness leaves the military. Changing scene, Joy was incredibly excited, saying, We're going to be run off our feet today, sis. She turned to Eva and continued cheerfully, The head maid said so too. The nobility has never gathered in such numbers. They started accepting applications from maids 2 days ago, and I heard even noble ladies from the countryside have come. Eva replied indifferently, Oh, really? Joy, still excited, continued, Yesterday I overheard some young ladies talking. The maids will earn 800 GA in 2 weeks. Hearing this, Eva gasped and asked, Really? She thought to herself, 800 GA in just 2 weeks? Commoners work hard for a whole month to earn even 100 GA asterisk. So that's why everyone wants to be a maid, huh? Asterisk, no. More than that. Maids in the royal palace desire the prestige. If I were still living in Bale Castle, it's a shame, but I can't go back to the past. Asterisk. Just then, a voice called from behind, Lily, take this and put it on the banquet table in the hall. As she carried the wine to the banquet hall, quickly navigating through the nobles, she tripped and fell, spilling wine and shattering glass across the floor. Everyone turned around in alarm, asking, Oh my, what commotion is this? At that moment, Priscilla walked up to Eva and said, Priscilla threatened. Were your eyes? Because of you, my dress is ruined. Eva struggled to her feet and replied, I'm sorry. I'll get something to clean it up. Priscilla didn't let her leave easily, saying, where do you think you're going? Clean it up with your hands. Now, Eva, enduring the humiliation, bent down to clean up the shards of broken glass. At that moment, Olivia's voice rang out from behind them. Stop it, Priscilla. Then, looking at Eva, Olivia said gently, go and get something to clean this up. Hearing this, Eva quickly turned to leave. Unexpectedly, Edward appeared before her. Eva recognized him with surprise. Edward. Everyone was astonished by his sudden appearance. The two stood looking at each other without speaking. Olivia also looked at him in surprise. Then, frowning, she turned to Priscilla and said with displeasure, why did you do that, Priscilla? I'm truly disappointed. Go home for today. Her words made Priscilla stumble. She called out, Olivia, but only heard, ruining my party is unforgivable. Olivia then called for the butler. Butler. Yes, ma'am. Fire that girl. Next, she approached Edward and asked, you've arrived, your highness? He didn't answer, but instead asked her, Olivia, I have something to discuss with you. Do you have a moment? Olivia happily agreed. Of course, your highness. I apologize for leaving yesterday without saying goodbye. It's nothing. I spoke with the Duke of Kensington before coming here. I'm sure you know what we talked about. Yes, your highness. You said you would respect my wishes? Yes, your highness. He asked, do you like me? Hearing his question, she was surprised. I'm sorry, what do you mean? I asked if you like me. Olivia stared at him, stunned for a moment. Then, smiling, she replied, yes, I like you, your highness. While he was pondering this unexpected answer, Olivia continued, of course, as a friend. He breathed a sigh of relief. Thank goodness. I declined the Duke's proposal, Olivia. She continued to smile, teasing him. Oh, even I feel a little wounded in my pride. May I ask why you rejected me? Surely it's not because you already have someone in your heart. He stated firmly, I do. She stepped closer, probing. Oh, who is she? I'm sorry, but I can't say. He placed a hand on her shoulder, speaking sincerely. You are radiant and beautiful, Olivia. You will find a man much better than me. With that, he turned and left. Watching him go, she thought, Edward, there must be many men better than you. But if there's no one else as wonderful, powerful, and high-ranking as you. Thinking this, Olivia furrowed her brow, as if contemplating something. The scene shifted to the kitchen, where Eva's bewildered voice rang out, fired. The butler confirmed, yes. I'll pay you for the past 2 days, so you can leave now. She asked him, may I ask why? The butler said, do I really need to tell you the reason? We've held hundreds of parties at this mansion, and nothing this embarrassing has ever happened. Then he walked towards the door, turning back to say, so stop talking and leave immediately. Eva just stood there silently. Seeing this, Roy sadly said to her, sis, I'm sorry for suddenly recommending this job to you. Eva patted her shoulder to comfort her. It's okay, Roy. I should be the one apologizing for making you feel awkward. Suddenly, a servant came in and called, Lily, before you go, please bring this to the drawing room. Roy, beside her, got angry. Isn't this too much? Lily has already been fired. The servant yelled back, I was told Lily has to bring it. So what can I do? Roy still tried to stop her. No matter what, don't make things more difficult for me. Eva said, all right, Roy, I'll go. Eva carried the tea tray through the deserted hallway. Upon reaching the room and placing the tray on the table, a person in yellow clothes asked, you're here? Then, she picked up the teacup and then smashed it to pieces. It was Priscilla. Her haughty expression was completely different from when she spoke with Edward. Did you think I'd let you go just like that? Pick it up. Eva retorted, I was just fired. Priscilla crossed her arms and asked, so? Eva remained calm. That means I don't have to do what you tell me anymore. And about what happened earlier, you should apologize to me. Priscilla tilted her head and sneered. What did I do? You tripped me on purpose. Priscilla still didn't admit it. Do you have any proof that I tripped you? Eva didn't back down. Weren't you wearing the pearl-studded shoes on the blue velvet fabric? If not, I'll apologize and accept punishment for my rudeness. But if I'm right, you have to apologize. Hearing her words, Priscilla gritted her teeth in anger. Who would believe you when you're so arrogant? Don't you know you'll be punished for insulting a noble? Eva argued firmly. That's when you insult a noble without a valid reason or commit a crime. Don't you know that when the feudal lord system was abolished, the privilege of not arresting nobles was also abolished? Priscilla remained haughty that you're utterly unreasonable. Fine, I trip you on purpose. Don't you know why? As soon as she finished speaking, she slapped Eva hard across the face and said, because I saw you seducing the crown prince, which shocked Eva. She still wanted to hit Eva again. So shut up, you trash. At this point, Eva reacted quickly catching her descending arm, and asked, "What are you talking about?" "I seduced the crown prince." She stared at Eva and said, "Last night, I saw you hugging the crown prince while you were lying next to the coal bin. And after leaving this room, I was going to tell everyone about it." Eva calmly explained, "In any case, you seem to have misunderstood the relationship between His Highness and me." Priscilla smiled smugly. "That's for everyone else to judge." Hearing this, Eva released her arm. "No, I can't let unpleasant rumors about Edward spread because of me. I have to stop this at all costs." Priscilla smugly put her hands on her hips and said, "What on earth did you do to catch His Highness's eye? You have quite the imagination, using your body to be played with by the crown prince and then discarded." Eva clenched her fists and endured. "Please pretend you didn't see anything. What do you want me to do?" Her eyes turned vicious. "First, you have to pay for grabbing my wrist." Then, she swung her hand and slapped Eva hard across the face. Eva could only endure without resisting. Next, a glass of water was poured over her head, accompanied by the words, "And this is the price for preaching so haughtily in front of me." Then, "Pick it up." Eva looked up at her. The woman only snarled, "Can't you hear? I said pick it up." Eva gritted her teeth and endured, reaching a trembling hand towards the shards. Suddenly, a voice rang out, "What are you doing?" Startled, both of them turned to look. He slowly approached Eva. It was Edward. Priscilla immediately rushed forward to curtsy. "Your Highness, you've arrived." Edward ignored her and walked towards Eva. Seeing this, Eva turned her face away to avoid his gaze. He yanked the ribbon from her hair, saying, "You've been dismissed, so why are you still wearing this thing?" Eva's eyes widened in surprise. She looked up at him, speechless. Edward frowned, displeased at the sight of her face. Then he turned towards the broken shards and said, "Pick it up." Priscilla asked what. He said sternly, "I said pick up the glass you broke." Priscilla was aghast. "Your Highness, how could I?" His sharp gaze pierced her. "Didn't you hear me?" "Pick it up." Priscilla slumped down, devastated, and reached a trembling hand towards the shards on the floor. As her hand touched the glass, Edward stepped on it, causing her to cry out. He made a hushing gesture. "Shh. Is it appropriate for an elegant lady to scream like that?" Priscilla looked up pleadingly. "Ugh, Your Highness." Eva watched the scene in horror. Olivia started to step forward to stop him, but Benjamin blocked her, leaving her to helplessly watch. "Doesn't it hurt?" "Ugh, it hurts, Your Highness. It's so embarrassing to be seen like this in front of others, isn't it?" Ugh. "Yes, it is." He angrily questioned, "You feel pain, but it's all right for others to feel pain? You're embarrassed by this, so why did you force someone else to do it?" Priscilla hurriedly apologized. Your Highness, I was wrong, ugh." Edward glared at her, filled with disgust. "Who are you to interfere with who I choose to embrace? Who are you to hurt my woman? How dare you humiliate my woman? Your family is nothing." He pressed his foot down harder, making her cry out in pain. Eva, witnessing the scene in horror, covered her mouth to stifle a sound. Benjamin, seeing the situation escalating, intervened. "Your Highness, please stop." Edward lifted his foot from her hand and watched as she cradled her injured hand, kneeling. Then he turned to look at Eva. She tilted her head, looking at him in confusion. Edward frowned at her. Eva's eyes widened expectantly. After a moment, he clenched his fist and turned away. He instructed Benjamin, "Earl Holland, take Lily home for me." "Yes, Your Highness." The two left together. As they reached the door, Eva couldn't help but look back at his retreating figure. After they left the room, Edward approached Olivia. "I apologize for ruining the party." She replied, "No, Your Highness. And please don't worry about what happened today. It won't get out." "Thank you," he said, then left. Olivia confirmed with Priscilla, "What you saw, was it real?" Priscilla honestly replied, "Yes, I'm telling the truth, Olivia." "Oh my God, please tell him for me. He completely trusts you, please, Olivia." Olivia asked her, "You told me you had some work to do, but why didn't you tell me about what you saw?" Looking at her trembling, Olivia said, "It would be best if you limited your access to this place for a while. And if what happened today gets out, no matter what, others will find out what you did." Priscilla panicked and called out, "Olivia." Olivia ignored her and walked away. Walking down the hallway, she thought, her name is Lily? There's no way those two could have fallen for each other and progressed so quickly in such a short time. They must have known each other before. Lily, I have to find out who that girl is first. By the time she got home, the moon was high and the lights were on. Hayden saw her return and asked with concern, "Lily, why are you home so early?" Hearing this, she replied, "Something came up. Where's my mother?" "She's probably taken her medicine and gone to bed." "Yes, they'll go up to my room, mister." Hayden. She then went upstairs, leaving Hayden standing there, watching her back. After making sure she had gone upstairs, Hayden walked towards a window. He pulled back the curtain and looked towards the carriage parked outside. His eyes darkened. Was it caused by the owner of that carriage? Eva, after taking a bath, had also gone to bed, but she tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Edward's image kept flashing through her mind. She sat up abruptly. What have I done? He helped me without caring about what others thought. Eva opened the door and stepped onto the balcony. She looked at the moon, her heart full of emotions. Where is he now, and what is he thinking? When she looked down, she was surprised. Edward was standing there, smiling at her. Then he turned and walked away. Seeing him leave, she panicked. No, I can't let him go like that. Eva rushed downstairs. Throwing the door open, she thought, I must thank him and apologize for what happened earlier. She hurried out, and once outside, Eva looked around, searching. Your Highness. A hand reached out and embraced her waist. Eva looked up at him. Edward's face appeared right before her eyes. Eva thought to herself, I didn't misunderstand you, and during all this time apart, I missed you so much. So much, Edward. And they shared a sweet kiss. Thank you for watching today's video. Our story continues with many exciting developments ahead, so don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to support us and not miss the latest episodes. We wish you relaxing and enjoyable moments. See you in the next video. Thank you for watching.